this whole trying to figure out when we're live thing because it'll do like an upload bar, like getting ready for you to be live, and then it'll take forever. And then when I go and watch us, we're not live. We've been live for 20 minutes.
Really?
Yep. Not through. I just did it, so whatever we talked about before was not even an issue. Don't worry. All right. Big. And I never mute YouTube. There we go. All right. Three, two, one. What's up, everybody? I'm Sam. That's Wick. You're listening to the Dukes of Blather. It's an opportunity for two Generation Xers to get together and try to understand the ever-changing world around us. We talk about everything from pop culture to politics. But don't forget that our show's been brought to you by Inviticus Clinic in Woodstock, Georgia. They offer hope to patients with major depressive disorders, postpartum depression, bipolar depression, OCD, PTSD, and severe anxiety. Severe depression takes a high toll on your life. Ketamine therapy offers a chance to find hope again. Many patients have tried numerous oral medications but have found little to no relief, as well as difficult to tolerate side effects. Ketamine treatment is highly effective and safe. It's time to get off harmful medications and start living again. If you're in pain, get help from the Leviticus Clinic in Woodstock, Georgia. Get more information on this treatment and if it's right for you at 770-850-1042. Wick, how are you doing, sir?
I'm damn decent, sir.
You're always
How
damn
are you?
decent.
Oh,
I feel great, man. The holidays are coming up. I took the week off for the holidays, man.
you're taking the whole week off?
Taking the whole entire week off.
Good
It
for
makes
you.
me a
Good for
little
you.
nervous because I'm going to be in the house. Usually I run away while my wife's doing all this stuff and dealing with the kids, and now I'll be here. And now it's, what can we do with the kids? And it's like, I don't want to do anything. I just want to stay at home. I never get there, but I'm sure we'll get busy. But, it's the last minute shopping. Everything's going on, man. The holidays are really flying as fast as possible right now.
Mm-hmm.
And fantasy football is wrapping up.
Yeah, I took a bath.
Did you? I have too. I'm still alive in two.
No,
And I lost one last
I
week.
flatlined.
Well, this is not a sports show, but I want to tell people that I lost one of my fantasy football playoffs, which is big money, because the quarterback had to go poop.
That was one of the great moments in NFL history.
Yeah. So I lost by 0.50. I lost by half a point in the playoffs last week
because Lamar Jackson.
I didn't watch the game. I didn't watch the game because I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to.
Had some bowel issues.
Yeah, I'm not going to curse myself. I'm going to stay away from this game. I'm not going to watch it. It was like a Monday night game. So I'm not going to watch it. I'm just going to ignore it. So, and I was losing bad, dude. I was losing by like 30 or 40 points. I'm not going to pay attention. I'm just going to move on. I'm going to live life and I'll check in on it. So I'm checking in on it. Lamar Jackson's doing amazing. I mean, he had probably one of his best games, if not his best game of the season. And I'm getting close. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to pull this off. Holy hell. Because I have a really good team. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to do that. He's going to pull this off. And then I get this report. I'm like, I'm not going to watch. I'm going to keep watching TV with the family. I'm going to ignore it. Then I get this like notification on my phone, and the notification on my phone's like, Lamar Jackson out for cramps. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so close. So close. Like I might have been like 10 points out at this point. I'm like, I'm so close. They still had like a half to go. I cannot believe this. I cannot believe this. Lo and behold, a couple of minutes later, Lamar Jackson's back. Running for touchdowns, throwing for touchdowns, going nuts. I'm like, I'm going to win this thing. This is insane. I can't believe this. Well, we fall short because Baltimore, who he plays for, ends up winning, and so they take a knee. I mean, one more pass. I'm good. That's it. Maybe 5, maybe 20 more yards. or for him to run like a 30-yard run or something like that. Lo and behold, the next day, I'm like, man, that sucks. I'm angry deep down. It's boiling over. But it is what it is, right? I mean, I lost, no big deal. It's just a game. Who cares? Until I see on Twitter that Lamar Jackson's cramping, quote unquote, and somebody put the little stinky poop things on there. I'm like, wait a minute, what? They have video of Lamar Jackson jogging, like fast walking, jogging, and pushing a dude out of his way. Did you see this?
Yes.
He's like fast jog walking, and he gets up to the locker room. He's like shoving people out of the way. And I'm like, wait a minute.
He was about
not many people know this.
He was about to mess himself.
I suffer from the IBS. I've got the irritable bowel syndrome.
Oh, it's no joke, man.
I know that walk. I have shoved many of people. I've shoved my own children out of the way. Okay. I've parked in a handicapped spot and ran in as fast as I could. Like, I've had moments where I said, am I going to have to stop and go into like a vacant subdivision where they're building homes and just see if I can find a porta-john? It's serious business.
It is very.
I know what Lamar Jackson was going through. And at that moment, all my anger let go. I was like, I can't.
He had the dookies.
He had the dookie walk. Buddy, he was like, I'm cramping. I thought they had bathrooms down there. I guess they don't. But
which begs the question, why don't they? They should have a porta toilet right there for.
They will now. But I mean, like, it was a type of thing where
put it in the tent.
They filmed this poor dude like run into the bathroom in the locker room. They're like, there goes Lamar Jackson suffering from cramps. This dude's jogging. Like everybody knows when you see like cramps on like the football field, they're laying down and they're stretching them out and they're working them out. They're trying to get that thing work. This dude was hauling ass trying to get to the bathroom. And I was like, you know what? I've been there, pal. I don't care if I lost. I feel you. And then he came out claiming that's not what was going on. But my man, I know that walk.
Just cop to it, man. Like nobody cares. Everybody.
I know the poop jog.
Yeah,
I know
probably
exactly what it looks like, and that's what that was. That dude pushed somebody out of the way at the door. Somebody out the door as he's walking in up into the locker room. Somebody's coming out, and he's like, "Get out of the way, it's coming." And he's like, "Oh, I got some IV." And then when he came back, he played like a rock star. It's like all that pressure was off him. You know what I mean?
He had.
Oh man.
Oh, you shouldn't have Ty Curry before a game.
Oh my God, dude. I mean, and just to kind of play that whole like, oh man, it was that I was really cramping. Like, no, you weren't, man. I just saying.
Yeah.
Just say, man, I had to poop, man. You know what I mean? Like, I appreciate that way more than.
There's anything every one of us on earth can relate to.
It is, man. And people get weird about talking about it. That's why I think it's kind of funny that, I'm always very open about it because here's the thing. I got to be open about it. If it hits me at the wrong moment with the wrong people, I got to say, hey,
I got to, yeah.
I'm getting nervous. I'm getting the nervous poops. I got to go. But, yeah, so that happened. That happened. And, just, I don't know, man, getting ready for Christmas. Everybody, we're doing last minute shopping and all that. And, something else I saw, do you like The Rock? Are you a big Rock guy?
Dwayne Johnson?
Yeah. AKA.
I'm not a big Rock fan.
I mean, you're not like a big fan of his?
I'm not ambivalent.
You like him, but you don't like him, you don't hate him. You don't love him, you don't hate him.
Exactly.
Well, I follow him on Instagram. And, I don't even rarely post on Instagram. I'm just on there to really peep on everybody else. I am a true internet stalker. I mean, I really do. If you're a friend of mine, I've been through every one of your pictures. I've been through every one of your Instagram pictures out of complete boredom. Because I have IBS, I have a lot of time on my hands, so I pretty much just look at everybody's Instagram. I've seen everybody's pictures. But I follow Rock, and man, I got to put a message out to Rock. I think everybody needs to do this on social media. I think we need to come together and ask Rock to stop using steroids. Because I implore anyone, I beg anyone to go on Instagram and follow The Rock, or go look at his pictures.
Is it out of control?
It's out of control because of his eating. Like, and this is a true concern. And I even wrote on one of his like things where it was like 82 banana pancakes with honey syrup and chocolate drizzle and caramel nuts or something. And I wrote, and I was like, I said, Rock, if you don't stop, you're going to die.
That's insane.
You need to put priorities in order. I really said that on his Instagram, because this dude, I mean, it's like, oh
my God.
Are you looking at it?
Yeah.
He's like, go look at The Rock's Instagram now and look at the food he eats. Okay. He's bigger than he should be by far. He's way too big. Okay. I know. I got it. You're a wrestler. I don't even think he's doing that anymore. I think he's doing movie stuff. It's like, you got to chill out, man. Like, you're a lovable character. You seem to be really good with your fame. There are people that handle fame really well. I think The Rock handles fame really, really well. And we need more people who handle fame well. And he seems like a genuine nice guy. I've seen him randomly, approach fans in the middle of, he had a thing where he filmed himself driving down the road, and there's a guy that he drove it past who was jogging, and he had his window down, and the guy jogged past him, he was like, Rock. So he turned on his camera, went back and talked to the guy, like did a U-turn, turned on his phone camera and videotaped him chatting with the guy, like, hey, it's The Rock here with, what's your name? Like he just seems like he's a genuine good dude.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't want genuine good people to leave the planet too soon. But this guy, I mean, he's like, oh, it's cheat day, which seems like every freaking day is cheat day for The Rock. And it's like 3 cheese pizzas. And it's like, dude, your heart's probably the size of a boulder. And it is working so hard to keep up with what your body has done.
Well, and if he's indeed using steroids, my God.
If he's indeed using, my man, look at how big he is. That
could be from the pancakes.
No.
Pancakes build muscle. Have you not understood?
Hard. He works hard. Listen, I know a little bit about steroids, as you can obviously see. But in my youth, I knew a little bit about steroids. I won't confirm or deny things. But I knew people who took them and stuff. And you have to work really hard to get big. It doesn't happen just because you put a needle in your
No, you have to work out a lot.
It's a really hard. You have to work really hard. Steroids are for people. As far as your looks, steroids are for people who put in a lot of work at the workout. They really, really, really have this certain thing about the way they look, and it's very, very important to them. And they need something to make the work look more impressive than it probably does naturally.
Yeah, you reach a plateau. Normally.
You reach a plateau, right? And you go, you know what? You get obsessed with how you look. That's one thing I've noticed, and I get it. You take it, but there's a point now where how old's The Rock now? The Rock is
has to be 50 at least.
48 years old.
Yeah.
You were in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. And you're not using that stuff under anybody's physician care. There's no physician alive with a decent medical degree that's letting you get that big on that, taking that many steroids.
In Hollywood? Yes, there is.
Okay. There's not a good physician that cares about you.
Yeah. Well, good is the operative word, right?
Right. So there's probably people that are getting it for him. I seriously doubt that there's a doctor that's overseeing it. I mean, really, a good doctor. And this dude is like cheat day. Cheat day is on The Rock's Instagram. It's every other day. 82, double walnut chocolate chip cookies that are the size of my head. And you're like, and I get that you have to eat to maintain that size, but just stop being that size. You're still going to be a big dude. But I think social media needs to come together and save The Rock. You know, I have to think of a hashtag or something, but we got to save The Rock because this dude's out of control. He's straight up out of control.
Especially at 48 years old.
48 years old. You don't need to. You don't need to be doing that stuff, man. You know, and I'm really, really worried that he's gonna die. I truly am. And he really needs to take it serious. He's got kids. I know he's got a daughter. He's got to take it serious. Rock, I'm trying to save your life. You know,
I mean, you want to call into the program and talk about it?
Yeah, come on the show. Let's talk about it. You try to prove to me you're not on steroids, because we all know you are. Because he's just super huge. He's ridiculous. He's absolutely ridiculous, and he's not wrestling anymore that I know of. You know, I get that you're doing the action movies, but you're just too big, man. You know what I mean? And even Arnold Schwarzenegger had to stop at some point. But anyway, especially if he's going to run for president and all that stuff.
He can't.
Why can't he?
Constitutionally forbidden. He wasn't born here.
The Rock wasn't born in America?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Schwarzenegger.
Oh, no. The Rock, man. The Rock. You know, because they were talking about him running on the Republican ticket.
I don't think you can play in the CFL and run for president.
Yeah, you know, he wanted to run for president on the Republican ticket, but he endorsed Biden, which I thought was a little strange for how Republicans and Democrats are running situations right now.
You know? I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, let's save The Rock. It's like save the clock tower. Let's save The Rock. Big deal. Other things too, man. Everybody's watching Christmas movies. Are you guys big Christmas movie watchers in your house?
Every year I make a concerted effort to watch the greatest Christmas film of all time.
Which is?
It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, I think my wife likes Miracle on 34th Street.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good one. Something about It's a Wonderful Life just it gets me right here.
I think a lot of people that watch It's a Wonderful Life, I
love Jimmy Stewart. Just love Jimmy Stewart.
Well, I think a lot of people look at it as a reset where they kind of realize what's important. It's a movie about kind of what's important, right?
It is, and I mean, just from a film lover's point of view, it's a kind of groundbreaking for its time.
Yeah,
and the story behind it of Jimmy Stewart went to World War II. You know, he flew bomber missions, came back from the war and didn't really want to go back to acting. And that was the project that got him back in.
I mean, that really, I thought you were giving me a description of the movie.
Oh, no, he actually was a bomber pilot. I think he made it to, he was a full-bird colonel.
No joke. I did not know that.
Yeah, and then he went back to, once the war was over, Hollywood wanted him to resume his career, and he didn't really, I think he had a little PTSD from the war. And It's a Wonderful Life that brought him back into the fold.
Very interesting, man.
Yeah.
Very interesting. No, I didn't know that he had done any of that. But you know, a lot of people like what is it? Christmas Vacation.
Great movie.
You know what I mean? And Elf. My wife's a real big Elf freak. But I want you to take a test. We're going to try this quiz. I don't know if it's going to work or not because I didn't really try it.
Okay.
And this quiz is called the Watch It or Skip It Christmas Movie Quiz, which will determine your age with 99.4% accuracy. And if anybody's going to trip this up, it's going to be Wickfields.
Okay.
Do you agree?
Probably. I'll probably come out like 94 years old.
Okay. Let's try it. So you just basically have to tell me you watch it or skip it. And we'll see.
Okay.
All right. Love Actually, made in 2003. Watched it or skipped it?
Watch it.
All right. Elf, 2003.
Skip it.
You didn't see it.
I did see it, but I won't. I probably wouldn't watch it again.
Hold on. Let me revisit these rules because I think it's just.
If you saw it.
If you saw it.
Then saw it.
Home Alone,
Saw it.
1990. Yeah, of course you did, dude. My kids love that movie. Home Alone 2.
I think I skipped it.
Me too. I mean, how many times can you be left home alone
Yeah, I mean, how
before
irresponsible
it's
are these
time for
parents?
defects?
Yeah, exactly.
Bad Mom's Christmas.
Never even heard of it.
The Grinch 2000. I guess that would be the
Jim Carrey?
Jim Carrey.
Skipped it.
I don't think I saw it either. It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, we are. Well, we
Yep.
know. You're gonna drool all over shit. Miracle on 34th Street.
Seen it.
The Santa Claus with Tim Allen.
I've seen that, sadly.
All right, watched it. All right. Nightmare Before Christmas.
Seen it.
I've never seen that. Polar Express.
Never saw it.
Skipped it.
Skipped it.
The holiday calendar. I've never even heard of it.
Never even heard of it.
All right. Four Christmases, 2008. That's with Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon.
I actually saw that.
We were trying to watch that tonight. It's actually pretty funny.
It is funny.
The Princess Switch, which I guess is on Netflix.
Never even heard of it.
Charlie Brown Christmas.
Seen it.
Frosty the Snowman.
Seen it.
The Princess Switch 2. Switched again. I'm hoping you skipped this. If you skipped one, I hope you skipped two.
Never even heard of one or two.
A Christmas Carol, which was a 2009 make, and it looks like it was like a IMAX digital type of thing.
No, but there is a great movie about the writing of A Christmas Carol that came on Netflix.
All right. Christmas Story, 1983.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. Rudolph Red-Nosed Reindeer, 1964, which is the
Yes.
puppet one.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's see.
Many times.
All right. Let's see. Da-da-da-da-da. You're 35 years old.
Oh, man. I thought I'd be older.
That's pretty good, though.
That's pretty good.
You know, it's probably within what, 10 years?
Yeah. 11.
So I don't know how accurate that really is. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, we're doing that. My kids kind of are in and out of good Christmas movies right now. My wife likes Elf a lot.
What do you
But
like?
I'm just nothing. I'm not a holiday movie guy, and here's why. I kind
No
of pinpoint it.
explosions?
No explosion, no nudity, no language. Of course, you know, we've got to talk about, you know, Die Hard and all that stuff going on with it. But I'm really weird about watching movies multiple times. I like to watch a movie once and then maybe revisit it years down the road. And when I mean years down the road,
Yeah,
I
once
saw
a year is a little too often, I think.
it's too often.
Yeah.
And then people start quoting it, and then everybody's trying to act in on it. And, you know, especially Christmas Vacation. No offense.
It's so funny, though.
It is funny, but it was so much funnier the first time I saw it. And then
You
I just don't
serious,
think
Clark?
it's as funny that, you know, every year, like we got to watch it. And they're like, I think
a lot of sap. Little full.
lot of-
lot of sap.
lot hooter. I mean, hotter than they are. You know, it's one of those things where I think people quote it.
Merry
so
Christmas. Shitter's full.
much. Everybody quotes it so much, and I think that's kind of started from A Christmas Story, where we
Yeah.
live. There's a lot of people from around the world that are listening to us, but TBS here
TBS.
locally. I mean, they used to play Christmas Story from Thanksgiving night all the way through Christmas, like for a full month, every night.
But everybody gets TBS now,
Okay.
all across the country.
So a lot of people, and it's probably the only reason people know that movie, really, as well as they do.
I don't think it was a big hit when it came out.
No, it wasn't. And
Here's some
I
trivia
think
for
that
you.
killed it for me.
Do you know who was originally offered the part of the father?
I don't.
Jack Nicholson.
Really?
Yeah, that would have been a very different movie.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think with that being on repeat, it made me kind of maybe desensitized from movies frequently, especially holiday movies. I think it kind of got me where I was like, I don't want to do this every single year. And some people can
Yeah,
do that.
I love that movie, but now every time I don't stop and watch it on TBS anymore.
No, I absolutely run from it. I run from it when I see it's on. I'm like, I'm done. I won't even like entertain it because it's on so much throughout my childhood that I'm like, I'm so sick of seeing it. And so for me, I just don't watch movies. I don't have like a particularly favorite movie that I just watch all the time. I have favorite movies, but I will see them years, but maybe rewatch it when it's on TV and I catch it. Um, but I
Is there
rarely
any movie
any movie that I'll do that with.
that you'll, no matter what you're doing or how long it's been since you've
Okay.
viewed it, that you'll stop you in your tracks and you'll watch it?
So my wife will laugh about this. The only movie that I would probably do that with is probably a sports movie, maybe like Varsity
Tin
Blues,
Cup,
Tin Cup. Yeah, Varsity Blues, Tin Cup, um, Friday
The
Night
Natural.
Lights. No, I hate baseball.
The Natural's
Um,
terrible.
is it really? I've never
Oh
even watched it.
God,
I
I
can't
hate that.
watch anything
I
baseball.
have a passion for hating that movie. It's so implausible.
Um, Field of Dreams and all that stuff. It's just something about baseball movies I just don't like. Other than um, what is it?
Bull Durham,
No, the Indians. The comedy
Major League.
Major League. I'll probably
Yeah.
watch that, but it's got Charlie Sheen, so I have to. Probably The Big Lebowski. If I'm flipping through The Big Lebowski,
Big Lebowski. Yeah,
yeah, because I always find something funny in it.
yeah.
And John Goodman. I mean, the cast of characters is so amazing.
Oh,
As far as a
incredible.
comedy goes, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that, there's just not much.
There's just so many, just so much treasure in that movie. When he's lying in his apartment, he's got his Walkman on and he's listening to bowling.
Bowling pins. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always kid around that I was telling somebody not too long ago. I said, can you imagine going in and selling the screenplay or the story for The Big Lebowski and sitting in front of all of these people in a studio and being like, okay, so
Oh, yeah,
there's
here
this
we
guy
go.
named the Dude, and he's real laid back, and somebody steals his rug by accident, but it
And it
belongs
really
to
tied the room together.
right. It really tied the room together. And there's another Lebowski that's rich, and it's his rug they were trying to steal. Like, like how do you explain that plot? Like, how did that movie
It's
ever
the Coen brothers. The Coen
stay?
brothers. The movie studios were just like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Just let them do whatever.
Just let
I
them do
mean,
whatever. Yeah.
the brilliance of the writing of that. But I mean, it's got to be so hard to sell that. And probably one I will stop and watch is, and I'm sure there'll be others, but Outlaw Josie Wells. If that's on, I watch it.
Great movie.
Something about spaghetti westerns get me, man. It's just something about them. I love Eastwood. I love that era and that time of western movies. I just really enjoy. So probably Outlaw Jesse Wells. I always stop and watch it. My wife will say, "Oh, do we have to watch this?" And I'll have to change it. But no, I pretty much don't do that. But a lot of people, and I want to get your opinion on this. They did a poll of 1,500 U.S. adults. That's 1,500 for you guys keeping count. And 44% say Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. 34% believe that it is. And if you exclude the 13% of Americans who have never seen the movie, the lead for not a Christmas movie increases to 51% to 39%. I think there's a little bit of a pretentious thing when we talk about whether Die Hard's a Christmas movie. Do you get that vibe, or are you full bore? This is a Christmas movie, and you don't mind telling everybody.
I don't care.
But don't you think it's a little bit of a guy thing where you're like, yeah, man, Die Hard's
It's just a guy thing to.
It
Yeah,
is
it's a
such a
guy thing.
guy thing.
Guy thing to say.
And yeah, it
And
happens at
you
Christmas
know
time.
what? I'm not a fan of Die Hard.
Oh, really?
I like Alan Rickman in it, but
Not a Bruce Willis guy?
well, no. But I think it's kind of well known now. Bruce Willis is a butthole.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I've reached the age where I'm just like, I don't want to give somebody my time and maybe my money.
Well,
That's not a good person, you know. I'd rather
Yeah, I
watch a
get it.
terrible Keanu Reeves movie.
Oh, and he's such a freaking prince.
Yeah.
The dude is such a prince. I love, I always say his name wrong, but Keanu. Keanu. I love Keanu Reeves for who he is, and
Yeah.
I'll always pay money for his stuff. No, but I mean, like the thing with Die Hard is like released in July. Like it wasn't even released at Christmas. And to me, kind of one of the pre-qualifications for a Christmas movie is it has to be released in or around Christmas.
And around the Christmas season, and not just.
Yeah.
I mean, just because of something happens during Christmas, does that make it
Right.
a Christmas movie?
Right, because it's not really. I guess it's centered around Christmas because it's happening at a Christmas party, but you know, it's released in July. I don't think the intention of this movie was ever to be a Christmas movie, but I think people say that just to kind of be different,
Yeah,
and it's getting old. So I
and,
want,
and they're
I
not
want-
different. If thousands of other people are saying it, it's not different.
It's not different. It's not. So I think we all need to come together and make the decision that Die Hard is just.
If you want to
be
come at me
regular
with
action.
reindeer games, then I think you're doing something a little unique and original. And if you haven't seen Reindeer Games, see Reindeer Games. It's a crime thriller that takes place during Christmas.
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck and Oliver Platt.
See, that was released in February,
Was it?
but nobody ever talks about that being a Christmas movie.
It's got reindeer in the title. I don't
My
think enough.
God, man, can you get any more obvious? Can you? I mean,
No, I mean, Oliver Platt steals the show, though. He's hilarious. The sidekick.
I've not seen it. That's not one that would be on a list that I've seen. But I'll check it out. But yeah, I think it's weird that so many people can consider that, and it's just guys. It's guys trying to be different in front of other people. It's okay. Like
trying to prove something. And I
trying to prove something. I'm different.
That's so boring.
Yeah. Yeah. And so with all this going on,
And so frat boyish.
Wish, yeah. Yeah, this is my favorite. What's your favorite Christmas movie? I just don't have one.
Mine's Die Hard because
Mine's Die Hard, and it is a Christmas movie. Let me prove it.
I have testicles.
Right, and I have balls, so it's
balls.
But I'm
and beer.
In my research of movies for Christmas, boobies. I saw that Warner Brothers announced that they will be releasing its slate of 2021 movies to its streaming service, HBO Max. Did you see this?
Mm-hmm.
The same day the films hit theaters.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan is flipping out.
I find that crazy. And you know what? All these movies that they made, because me and my wife went to the movies.
HBO Max is about to take over the world.
Yes, it is. Buy your stock in HBO. I myself and my wife, we had a Friday night off for the first time in forever.
Did you go to did you enjoy Applebee's and
we went to
some
Applebee's.
sliders?
I usually hit Applebee's on a guy's night out, so I reserved that. We hit a great TGI Fridays. No, we actually went to a Japanese place. It was very good.
Good for you.
And we went to the movies. I was like, "Do you want to go?" And she was like, "Yeah, of course, your mask required." And I said, even if we go, there was nothing playing. I said, even if we go, it's probably not going to be enough people to worry about because there's so many people that are not going anymore that probably it'll be only like 3 or 4 couples that are going to be in there anyway. Excuse me, which was the case. I mean, we got there and there was like nobody there. And we saw Fatal, Fatale, Fatale. I think it's Russian. It was a Russian movie. No, I'm just kidding. but it was a movie about. It was actually pretty good. It was a suspense twist mystery type of thing. Had Hillary Swank in it, which was very
Mhm.
mannish. She's very mannish. It's very hard. Are you a Hillary Swank guy?
No, but Hillary Swank is a guy.
I mean, hands like a man.
No,
I mean, it's rough. I mean, I can
I
see
mean
where
she's good. She's a good actress,
she's a good actress. Yeah, she was
good
really good.
actor rather.
But we
Not
saw
be
there,
gender specific.
right? It's 2020. We accept her the way she is. And um, look, I kind of missed the theaters. My wife, I said, "Do you want to go?" And she was like, "Yeah, I kind of miss going." And so we did. There was, like I said, there was nothing there. There might have been, and there was a lot of like movies that were like Christmas holiday movies that they were playing just to see if they get people in the door. But like I think Grinch and Christmas Vacation or something. But the thing was, is it was like you really do miss going. And when I read that Warner Brothers, and I mean, I know they had a slate of movies that were supposed to release in 2020, and we're going to be talking about the vaccine here in just a minute. But we've got all this stuff going on. I know that things aren't going to change immediately, but around the corner of things kind of starting to even it out again. Hopefully the economy comes back. Hopefully people go back to going out to eat. Hopefully saving some industries a little bit at a time wherever we can. And I just find it amazing that I guess really you have these 2020 release movies. I think this is where Warner Brothers is coming from. We've got this basket full of 2020 movies that were supposed to be released that we couldn't release because this kind of coronavirus thing went on all year.
Yeah.
And I think now they're saying, let's just take the 2020 movies, let's move them back to a 2021 release date, and let's put them on our streaming service so that we can maximize our financial potential out of them while this thing starts to die down. And then we can take them out of the theaters quicker and start pushing our 2021 movies in. Is that something that they would be doing in your opinion, or is this just going to be the new phase of how movies are released? Are we going to see?
I don't think they know. I mean, it was kind of trending in that direction before COVID. So I think there is a lot of fluidity to their vision. They don't really have a firm grasp of what theatrical releases are going to be in the future.
Well, my question would be like, do you save any money by going straight to streaming and charging $4 versus sending it to a theater and charging 12? And isn't this
I
really telling everybody movie tickets are really marked up in the first place?
They are very marked up, and the theaters keep very little of that money.
Yeah.
Very little. They make all their money on concessions. That's why it's so the prices are so bloated.
Yeah.
But
It's kind of like gas stations. Gas stations make pennies off of a gallon.
I think what you're going to see is movies may shrink a little bit.
I
Like
think
I think they won't be so big in the future. They won't be so effects heavy, which is
really.
probably a good thing. Well,
Well,
I don't. I mean, they take so much money to make, and then, I mean, if you have a $300 million movie to make, you're spending 300 million on production and 300 million in advertising. I
yeah.
mean, so you got to break 600 million just to see a profit.
And do you have to do much advertising when it's on a streaming service? Because most of the time, like we've talked about streaming on this show, it's pretty much a good backbone. But
The advertising will be built in
yeah,
to the
because I mean,
streaming
like
service. Yeah.
people who pay for HBO Max, I'm one of them. We'll go on HBO Max and we'll see it listed and we'll
We'll
read.
probably see. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, we'll see it listed there. And we're not going to be. I mean, if it's going to be on HBO Max, it's going to be for free. It's going to be part of the $12 you're paying for HBO.
Yeah, the prices for that will probably, I would imagine, will go up. You'll
Yeah,
probably see pop-up advertisements like YouTube has.
yeah, yeah.
Hopefully not within the programming, but maybe as like a banner.
Well, it's funny because I was thinking about canceling my HBO Max. Um,
Don't.
No, not now. Um,
I mean,
and
they came out initially, and I was impressed with just the backlog of films they have. They
let's
just beat the snot out of Netflix.
well, and HBO now has Friends, and my wife being a fanatic, I mean, we can't get rid of it. But um, I mean, one of the reasons why I can't get rid of HBO right now is because I've actually sat down and watched The Sopranos and binged it.
Did you?
And so I'm almost done with it.
I did. I did that about 2 years ago, I think.
A little overrated.
Uh, it's tough to say because it was. It really kicked open the door um, for that kind of narrative, where every episode wasn't standalone, like
Right.
the X Files.
Right. There's no monster of the week. And I guess that kind
Yeah,
of kicked off a lot of things like Breaking Bad and whatnot. I don't know, like I remember a lot of friends really watching The Sopranos and being into it. Um,
I mean, it's a good show. Is
it's
it great?
good. I don't know that it's great though, because it's always listed as one of the greatest binge shows. I don't know that I buy that.
I tried that in The Wire and Mad Men.
I couldn't watch The Wire and I couldn't watch Mad Men.
I went a season in both, and I asked my friends that were big fans. I'm like, does it get
That's
better?
what I did.
And they're like, it's gonna. I'm like,
This is it. You know what's
okay.
better than The Wire? I'll tell you right now. I'm going to give you a heads up. If you haven't seen this show, you're gonna love me for this. Have you ever watched The Shield?
No, but I've always wanted to.
Oh my God, phenomenal! The Shield is phenomenal, and I hear it
And it
often
was right there at
compared.
the same time too.
Yeah, it's often compared to The Wire, and I did The Shield first. 'Cause I watched like 2 episodes of The Wire, and I was like, dude, I don't know what it is about this show. I can't get into it. And so I was reading an article. Nobody told me about The Shield. I was reading an article. It's like, you know, it was something about The Shield and how amazing it was. And I was like, really? Like, okay. I'm not big on cop shows. I feel like a big cop out right now when you're looking at new shows is somebody's an FBI agent, somebody's a detective. It's the same narrative over and over again. It's like
Mhm.
somebody or either a hospital documentary or a
And if it's
hospital
if it's an
drama.
assassin, I just tap
Right.
out.
But it's always like FBI agent Mark, Davidson is, and it's like, God dang, man, is everybody a FBI agent or detective? But no, The Shield is phenomenal because it's just about dirty cops that
Hmm.
are in a group
It's
covering their
about
tracks.
Rampart, isn't it?
What's that?
It's about Rampart, isn't it?
Rampart. What's that?
Rampart. It's a division in the LAPD.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
Yeah,
like gang activity, all that
yeah.
stuff. It's amazing. The Shield is great. It is really great. And I would, dude, if you can find it, I mean, if you get the FX app, it's on there. Um, I would highly recommend The Shield. But no, I kind of feel like The Sopranos is a little bit overrated. I kind of expected a more like, 70s style mafia type of thing where a lot of cars were exploding and there's a lot of people
Definitely
that
not that.
die. Yeah, here we are with explosions again. A lot of people that die in it, sure, but Tony Soprano takes on this like part where you're almost like sorry for him. And I think it kind of takes the tone away from like this vicious mob boss to this guy you
Yeah,
kind of have a hard time disliking because he loves animals and it's just it's just not what you
geese.
expect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's perfect for the role, but at the same time, the edge of the character seems to disappear. And maybe that's the whole point of the show. Maybe the whole
Yeah.
point is for you to kind of fall in love with him a little bit, but um, no. So I guess I'm gonna have to hold on to HBO Max. I find that right now with Disney and The Mandalorian is really good, I'm not a Star Wars guy, but I seem to like their
I keep
original
hearing.
content.
Yeah, I've heard that it's the best thing they've done since the original Star Wars.
Dude, Mandalorian well, it's John Favreau, and there's something about what John Favreau does I love. I don't know what it is. Ever since Swingers, I've always liked John Favreau.
Iron Man. Yeah.
Iron Man, he was phenomenal with Iron Man.
Mhm.
So I just like everything he does. In fact, he did Elf and all that. I saw this today when Emily was watching Elf, my wife. that he was the director of the Elf, and I was like,
Yeah.
my God, dude, this guy's. And I looked up his net worth; it was like 100 million, and I was like, how in the world is he just worth 100 million? He should be worth 500 million with these
Well, he's a
projects he takes
director.
on.
They don't.
Unless he's just like, dude, listen, I just like making movies. I don't care what I make. I mean, which is
I think
possible.
after a certain amount of money, after 10 million, you care really.
Yeah, I think he's one of those people that just likes making movies, honestly. So maybe his fees, maybe that's why he gets so many projects.
And he's still young, so
Yeah, very young. And so, I'm probably going to have to keep HBO Max now. I find that HBO Max, Peacock, I want to say Disney Plus, because other than Mandalorian, I'm really not watching anything on there. But I'd say Peacock channel, which is NBC, who's been buying up rights to shows left and right. And The Office is fixing to go over there, I think. So HBO Max, Peacock, and pretty much I don't even Netflix isn't even my bag anymore, man. Probably Hulu. HBO Max, and Peacock have just about everything I could want. So yeah, I'm probably not getting, but I just thought that was interesting that they were doing that. And because we're talking about movies, movie theaters being closed down and nobody being there, we got this news with the vaccine, man. And I don't know. I was kind of gonna hit you up and ask you, are you gonna get it? What do you think of it? Is it too soon for you? Is it too late? Do you want to wait? What are you going to do about the vaccine?
I'll get it.
You'll be in line.
I'll be in line for it.
Now, I think somebody had reported that was going to be a $2,500 shot, but it's not. It's like a
No
shot.
Yeah, it's not
It's
good.
going to
No.
be free to most people. And I'm really undecided. Like I get it. They're like, hey, look, we can't do this without it being safe. We've got all these safety precautions we go through. I actually know people who are working on the studies for it. And there's no reason not to trust people that I obviously trust. But I just feel like with anything, like whether it's a new electronic,
You want to wait until the bugs are worked out.
I wait until the bugs are worked out. I'll let other people take it and go blind, and then be like, okay, well, it's not my time yet. I'll wait it out. But I think I think it's going to be really interesting how they kind of send this stuff out, because we're around the corner of it happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's
happening now.
It's happening now, and people are getting the shot. And my wife being a teacher, I asked her, I said, are you going to get it? And she said, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to make us, because they're, they're around a lot of the danger too.
Yeah.
But I really don't know how I feel about it. I think
it's been hyper politicized. Obviously, I just can't, there wasn't this much chatter about any of the flu shots.
No, but flu's way down.
Flu, yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Knock on down. Well,
that's because people aren't going out as much.
Well, you're covering your mouth with a mask. You're hitting your hands with sanitizer. This is a lesson for everyone to learn.
Yeah, this is what you should be doing all the time.
You can control the cold and flu season. You can control it. And I'm not objecting to say, hey, look, when October comes around, November comes around, let's live like this from November to like January. It's cold outside anyway. Wrap a scarf around your mouth when you go around people.
I may not give up the mask in flu season.
Yeah, let's go to wearing masks the flu season. What if we can reduce the flu by 50% just by wearing a mask? There's something to be learned here. I know that there's anti-maskers, and I get you, I hear you, but what if this can do wonders for people not having to get the flu shot? And I don't listen. I don't know. I know that there are people that are anti-vaxxers, and I'm not one of those. I have a child that has high functioning autism, so for me, I get the concern that there's something that has happened with vaccines with certain people. I can't say that it's what happened to my child. I can say this, and I will honestly say this, as we're talking about vaccinations. There was a time, and I beg all people who have children to just do this, because I don't know if it's the moment. I can't say that vaccines gave my child autism. I can't say that. Again, he's very mild, but I will say that there was a point where he had to get 3 shots at once for vaccinations. I don't know what they were. I don't remember what they were. I remember he was little. He was a baby, and we got a little behind because we were both working full time jobs. My wife was working in Alpharetta and driving up there every day, and we just got behind on maybe like one cycle. So he goes in. I don't know if she took him in. It was so long ago, Wick. I don't know if she took him in for his shots or that he wasn't feeling well and they decided to give him the shots. I want to say that he was fine. And she said, you know what? He's got to go in for his checkup. I'm going to go and get, they talked her into getting like 3 or 4 shots for him. And that night we got him home and he got a little ill and he was running a fever and he didn't feel well. And he was very, very whiny. His fever was probably 101, 102, nothing to be too concerned about, but concerning. And
It's because he got them all at once, wasn't it?
yeah, and listen. I'm not saying that that's what caused it. I don't really truly believe it, but I will always, as we have learned on this show, I will always leave the door open for possibilities. It's possible that getting them, spread out is not a problem, but getting them in a group is something that could harm your child. I'm not going to put that out in the universe, but I there's no reason not to be precautious. Listen, if you're going and you're getting the shots and they want to give them 3 shots, just say, you know what, can we do, which one do we need to do right now? I'll bring them back and bring them back in a couple of weeks. But it's not going to hurt anything. But I just know that when my son got a bunch at one time, he did not feel well. And they do say that's normal, of course. But I remember taking him outside, and it was a little cool outside, probably 60s, and he was really hot. And I took him outside, and I remember praying over him. I did. I was like, listen, you can do it. You can do me a solid here. You let me know what I can do in return if you'll just help him. And I remember his temperature did drop after that. I'm not saying this is just, we've talked about, I have my own personal views, but I remember his temperature did drop and he began to stop being so whiny and he was fine. And he was fine after that. But there was just this moment where years later down the road, and I'm thinking about, especially as people at that time, vaccinations weren't a big deal as far as in the autism discussion. This probably would have been 2012. I mean, I'm sure it was something people were talking about, but it wasn't all over the place and websites and things like that. And years down the road, as people are talking about, I'm like, there was that weird time where my son did get a bunch of his vaccinations at one time, and he did not feel well. And he never reacted that way with any other vaccinations he ever got, flu shots, anything. So I understand a lot of the concern that people have for a vaccine that is not been used in a wide variety yet. And so for me going through that, I'm a little bit more nervous about taking the shot. Not because I think there's a government conspiracy. Let's make that
it's
clear.
The microchip. You don't want to get chipped.
It could be. Of course, they could do that in flu shots too.
Or they could just give you a cell phone.
Yeah, that'll do it. Especially when they say this 5G is going to melt your brain. But I just remember that moment and looking back on it, and for me, maybe it was meditation, maybe it was timing, maybe it was just the power of the universe, maybe it was nature. I don't know. I just know that I prayed over the kid and he got better, and I was thankful for that. It's one of those arrows I keep in my quiver when I think about my own personal faith and whatnot. It's just one of those things that happened for me, and we can, we won't debate whether or not scientifically this is what was supposed to happen in that moment or whatever, but it did happen. But it did completely worry me years later that, oh my gosh, when he got those vaccinations, he did act strange, and he was out of his element a little bit. He was a little wanky. He was acting like a very strange, different kid after those shots. So for me, something like this, 50% of the people that they polled said they were going to get the vaccine. 50% said they weren't. This is going to be a very divisive decision for a lot of people, especially if they decide that they're going to try to start forcing people to take it. Like if you work in certain industries, you're going to have to get the vaccine.
Yeah, I don't think the government is going to intervene, but of course they could put pressure on industries.
Sure. And, listen, schools require vaccinations, as they should. I am a believer in that, despite the fact that my kid, listen, there might be people out there that are anti-vaxxers, saying, well, now that you know that about your kid, I have a younger child and he got his vaccinations.
Spaced out?
No.
All at
Yes,
once?
they were.
Spaced-
Yeah.
they were
They were. I
spaced out.
thought you were asking if he was spaced out in the brain.
Oh, no.
Sometimes I wonder. You got to meet this kid. Sometimes. No, he's a trip. But no, yeah, we spread him out. And I told my wife, I said, this time we're going to spread him out. I was like, I don't want him getting multiples at one time. He gets what's due, and that's all he gets. And then if we're behind and they want to double up, I said, you tell him no. And she did. She agreed. She said, no, you're right. I agree with you. And so we did spread him out. Never had an ounce of problem. Never had a fever. Never got whiny.
No.
Never got kind of out of his element. Never got wanky. Nothing. Perfectly. Every time he went and got it, everything was fine. I didn't want to chance it twice, and I would be interested. I know. Listen, if you're a parent that has an autism child, I mean, message me personally through we've got a Facebook page, Dukes of Blather. Please join. Please check it out. And, message me privately. I'd like to know if you have kids with, especially multiple kids that have it. This is not what the discussion was supposed to be, but just curious. And now that I've brought it up and I've kind of told my own story there, I'd be interested to know if you have if you have more than one kid with autism symptoms and they're on the spectrum. I'd be interested to know if you were behind on shots and got a bunch of them at one time for each kid, because it might be something to look into. Maybe not. I'm sure they have. There are a lot smarter people than me that are looking at these things, but I do understand the concern about this coronavirus vaccine, just from my experience with that. And I'm just one of those people. I want to see the kinks worked out before I go forward. But would we even know if there's kinks in this thing? Are we even going to know immediately? It's going to take probably 10 years, right?
Well, that's true. That's true, and that's true of every vaccine, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's the nature of medicine and nature of science.
You know what's going to happen. 10 years from now, Motley and Associates is going to be on TV.
Yeah.
Like, did you get the coronavirus?
Did coronavirus give you mesothelioma?
Yeah. Did coronavirus give you, and I mean, we can joke about it, but, I can kind of see that, 10 years down the road that, your local attorney's like, hey man, call me. Cause we got a class action lawsuit. I'm going to make 90 cents on the dollar and you're going to get like 3 cents on the dollar.
Well, I have friends in in medicine, and they're very pro vaccine.
Yeah. Well, they've gotten a lot of
and they're on all sides of the political spectrum, but when it comes to medicine,
I mean, we can say that we don't like the FDA all we want, and I get the far right people that want to get rid of agencies and all this other stuff. This is where we have to get very realistic about this, where this is really a hard thing to do and it shouldn't be done, because there's a standard and a bar that's set for these vaccines. It's very high in America. I mean, they really have to prove.
But do you want to see a vaccine hit the market without an FDA?
I think some people would.
These are the same people that are distrustful of the vaccine to begin with.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's all.
It's
hypocrisy.
Yeah,
it really is. All of it is.
And of course, there's corruption, but there's wherever human beings are, there's corruption, government or otherwise.
Yeah. So, I think I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I want to make that clear. if my son, who I'm very very fortunate, I mean, me and my wife talk about it all the time. He's mildly autistic, which means that um, he has moments where you try to get his attention, and he's kind of like he doesn't want to give you attention. Some of it's hard headedness. It's really hard to know
Hmm.
where it begins and where it ends. To be honest with you, sometimes he's just really hard headed.
It's just who he is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I wonder sometimes if it's just how kind of how he is. I think he actually has what they call sensory. I think he has sensory issues more than he really has autism. But anyway, that's for another discussion. But you know, would I rather him be at risk for you know what scarlet, like red pox or plague or all these other? No, of course not. So I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I just think that you need to be precautionary about how often you get them. And I think with this, it's going to be something that people are going to be really worried about just because it didn't have a lot of time to be tested. But it's also possible that the things that are involved in these vaccines are common medical tools that are used for other things too that we know are safe. It's just in combination with this and this and this, we can go
Well,
fight coronavirus, right?
what's upsetting to me is there's this sentiment in America that they're out to get you,
Mm-hmm.
the medical, and it's the opposite of what their mission really is.
Yeah, not an,
You know,
as an industry.
they are there. I mean, their whole lives are dedicated to the preservation and lengthening of human life, and it's upsetting to me that people have now have contempt for that.
Well, it's fun to be a conspiracist,
It
right?
is. It's fun.
It's fun to think that there's all these secret things that are going on in the world and in America, and and this is whether you're conservative or liberal. I mean, you all have these nut job issues. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's kind of the turnoff for me for politics is that everybody's got this conspiracy theory
Yeah.
that Obama was the Antichrist and Trump, is the devil, and I mean, you can dislike. We know that
everybody who does everybody I disagree with is Hitler.
Yeah, yeah, and in some cases you might be right, but um, we move on. I think we're starting to almost see a new form of government developing in front of us now. After this election, with a lot of changes, maybe good, maybe bad, we don't know. Just like when Trump won, we're going to see changes, might be good, might be bad.
And just like when every president has been elected.
Sure, in 10 years we'll look back and go, hey, you know what? It wasn't that bad, or man, it was way worse than I thought. You know what I mean? And I think we do that all the time, and I think you're right. I don't think that anybody's out there trying to do serious harm. I think a lot of times with these things, everybody has their best intentions. It's like I say about Bush, George Herbert. Is it HW? Was it W or HW? Right. The second.
I'm assuming the most recent.
The most recent was W.
W.
Yeah. Everybody. There was a huge group of people that just hated the guy. And now that they've seen him as an ex-president, they're like, you know what? I kind of like him because he's,
I think.
Go ahead.
Do you think that's human nature? Because now we have nostalgia. I think nostalgia arises because we know how everything turned out.
Well, he's an interesting subject because to me, I think at first when 9/11 happened, everybody was like on his side.
He had
Everybody,
the highest approval rating in the modern presidency. After
everybody,
9/11.
everybody loved him
Mhm.
when 9/11 happened because
It was Iraq. Iraq's what
yeah,
divided everything.
listen, he stood strong in a tough time. And I think as the war went on and as the weapons of mass destruction were not found and as they trust Russia and Russia lied and big surprise, and this is the place where you need it. And I think ultimately removing Saddam Hussein gave us the problems that we had later on down the road. And
It's a ball
or
that
that we
keeps on
currently,
bouncing. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you got to have the word. Listen, in those situations in the Middle East, you've got to have a bigger bully than everybody else. And Saddam Hussein was that bigger bully. He had money, he had weapons, and he kind of kept everybody at bay, right? And you remove the bully out of the yard, then everybody wants to be the next bully. And I think that was going on for a long time during the Bush administration and afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But I think now when people like, I thought, I thought one of the most enjoyable things was watching him at Trump's inauguration. You could watch him and enjoy him in the way that he behaved and how funny he was and how warm he was to people around him, how his goal was to make people comfortable, hug on them, laugh. He just seems like the kind of person that has this amazing positive energy. And I think over time, I think people just said, you know what, I like this guy. And then they would see him with Clinton, and then they would see how warm he was with people that, with Michelle Obama. They say him and Michelle Obama are like best friends. Just the
But
last.
this is true. Don't you think this is true of all ex-presidents?
We'll find out because we're about to have one.
Maybe. But I don't know. I think the division of Obama is still pretty intense.
Well,
but I mean, you look at Clinton. You look at, of course, we can't. Herbert Walker Bush. Of course, we can't look at Reagan. But Carter. I mean, is there anybody that doesn't say Jimmy Carter is a sterling human being?
Right. Maybe not the best president.
Maybe not, but underrated, I think. And as we look back,
I think he was terrible. But
he did get those hostages out.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that was all him. And they refused to release them until Reagan was inaugurated.
I disagree.
But he was working. See, this is a testament to his character. He was working to get them out after he had lost the election.
I completely understand that.
That's a testament to character.
There's nothing I question about Jimmy Carter's character. Let me get that clear. But I think Reagan pushed this. I think when Reagan said, "You don't release them, we're gonna put a missile through you," I think that pretty much solved that. But I think Reagan was a guy that was needed at the time he was there. I think we've always seemed to be able to get the right president at the right time in a lot of ways. But I think in how you judge them when it's all over with, I think it takes time, but I think over time people have seen W as an endearing person who probably got sucked into those around him that he trusted that probably manipulated his ignorance a little bit. I don't think there's any doubt that Cheney and Rumsfeld definitely took advantage of Bush's naive way. I think Bush believed what people told him.
I think that's going to be his Achilles heel.
Yeah,
with historians.
I think
and he knew it towards the end.
I think when he figured it out, it was too late.
Yeah, I for a long time, the relations between Cheney and Bush after the presidency were very frosty.
Yes,
I don't think they spoke for years.
Yes, and Rumsfeld as well. And I think
there was something I always liked about Rumsfeld.
Yeah,
and then I realized I'd been sold a bill of goods.
Yeah, and I think Bush was too, and I think he's.
I will never forgive Rumsfeld. We had Bin Laden in Afghanistan, and he would not send in surplus troops to seal the border.
There was something.
That's how he got out.
Yeah, there was something deeper going on there. But
yeah,
I think with Bush, I think he's one of those guys you look back on now, and they see him on Ellen. I mean, listen, this is a far religious Christian man who is absolutely enamored with a gay female that he considers a friend, and she defends him to the end of the day. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, she's had some bad press recently.
She has. But I mean, outside of that, before all this, I mean, he got plastered for being at a baseball game. She was a guest of his, and they were having fun and cutting up, and I think he got some heat from Christian people that were like, listen, he
doesn't care.
And he's like, she's my friend. And I think that's an amazing testament to who
Isn't that what Jesus would do?
Right.
I mean, God, is it really that hard?
And then she goes on and she defends him, and he just seems to be an endearing person now that he's out of the presidency. And I don't know, we'll learn about all these things over time. This coronavirus situation, we'll judge it in 10 years. This coronavirus vaccine, we'll judge it 10 years from now. We'll get some time behind us. I don't even think it's time to really judge Obama's administration quite yet. I think you need to have time for that before you start saying that all these things happen because of him. I think you should give them two true election cycles after they're done to really look back. You give them 8 years and say, okay, now let's look back and see how this looked. And we'll do this with the coronavirus. We'll do this with the vaccine, and we'll know. But I think there's a lot of people that are just so afraid that either this is a conspiracy situation or that it's being rushed out too quickly. And I get
Well,
that.
being rushed out too quickly is a valid argument, but
It's absolutely a
conspiracy
valid
just.
and listen, as we
I
go back.
have no time for conspiracy theories anymore. People's lives are at stake now.
Oh, I do. I'm okay with them. Send them my way. But and some of my I'll probably be like, listen, we've talked about how I believe just about anything somebody will tell me. But at the same time, I mean, we'll look back on this coronavirus and we'll look at Trump and we'll say, this was pushed for, his reelection purposes or whatever. I mean, we'll look back on it. And we may look back on it and say,
or we could look back and say it was pushed because we were living in a effing pandemic.
Well, and we could say, I think people will say, well, it's pushed because he was trying to get reelected. But it also could be that we'll realize and give the guy some credit and say, you know what, it was pushed because everything ended up okay. The economy came back. This vaccine was phenomenal. It did great things for a lot of people. It protected a lot of people that were at risk. And you know what? I'll give him a lot of credit for that. Now, some people just won't be able to do that. It'll be really difficult for people to give him an ounce of credit. But there could be some credit here in his favor that says, you know what, look, he really pushed this thing to happen. It did. They made it happen. It was safe. Now of course you're going to have situations where people get vaccinated. It's not going to go as well. Everybody's biochemistry is different, right? And sometimes these things happen and they just don't react well. And it may not be active in some certain chemistries in people's bodies. It may do no good, much like the flu shot. So
yeah,
I think that we'll look back and we'll judge this and be able to look and say, yeah.
My concern with the
what a great moment
conspiracy
for science.
theorists are that no vaccine is 100% effective, and they'll take this scientific fact and run with it.
Yeah. And we have this tendency right now to like to scare each other. I don't know what's going on, but we almost like to deliver bad news. We almost like to have negative things happen. I almost think that politically, and this is what I think is the danger of political a political identity, is that I think there are some people that if Trump had gotten reelected, that there would be some people that would be hoping this vaccine would fail. And I believe that 100%. I think that there are some people that will wish that it would have failed for him so that he could have a worse mark on him. I just think that's where we are with politics. I think it's dangerous. I've preached that and preached that and preached that. But here we are. The election's over for 99.9% of us. Even his own administration, it's over. And even his own Republicans are saying it's over. I saw McConnell was pretty much.
Finally, yeah.
Yeah. And that's good. It needs to happen.
The Electoral College has spoken.
We need to move on. And
that's the beauty of it. I mean, I think if anybody can, I think if there's anything we can all embrace is the miracle of the process of democracy.
Yeah.
That this can happen. The peaceful transfer of power.
I'll be honest with you. I always doubted our elections. This is the God's honest truth. I always doubted our elections until Trump won. And then when Trump won, I was like, okay, I do believe in the political process. I do think that we really are voting for the president. There was a time where I thought, you know what? People are counting their own votes. Not conspiracy. I just thought, does it really matter? I mean, we probably get who's pre-selected anyway by the 1%er group and people in power.
The super PAC.
Yeah, the super people
Super
are
PACs.
probably already in charge and telling us who's going to. But when Trump won, I thought, yeah, we we really do choose the president. We really do it.
Hmm.
And it was, and I think everybody should look at it that way. We really do. If Trump was able to win the election in 2016, it's really truly a testament that we really do pick our leaders, because there's no way that anybody thought he would win.
Well, you look back at every election that has ever occurred in America, at least the ones that that they can account for, and there is almost zero. No matter if a Democrat wins or if a Republican wins, there's almost no evidence in any of those elections of fraud.
I think it happens.
That's it happens, but of course it's going to happen.
I think it happens. I just don't think it's enough to make a difference.
No, I mean, you can't. That's the reason I don't believe in conspiracy theories, because, two people can't keep a secret.
Right. One dead can.
It's human. It's human nature.
That's, if there's anything I've learned from Sopranos, is that, one person can keep a secret if the other person's dead.
It's dead.
But yeah, we'll look back on this vaccine, and I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait it out. I feel like I've had it. I felt like I had it back in February of this year. I'm almost certain I had it in February of this year. We've probably talked about it on another show, but it was this cough, slight headache, but it never turned into a cold. And I felt pressure in my chest. I remember laying there one night. This was in February again, before really anything broke loose on it. I remember sitting in bed and I was breathing. And I was like, it's really difficult to breathe. Like, not where I thought I was going to die, but just where I was like, you know what? I'm just, I'm going to take shallow breaths. And then I fell asleep, and it didn't matter. And I slept through the night, and everything. But I went through about a 2-week period of just having these cold symptoms that never really fully bloomed into a cold. And a lot of it was just junk in my lungs, where, I was coughing a lot and, trying to free up a little extra air. If I took a really deep breath, it felt like it was compacted in my chest. It wasn't much long after that. Yeah, it wasn't much longer after that my wife got sick, and she didn't get seriously ill, but she went to the doctor, and it was an upper respiratory infection, which is what everybody was diagnosed with back then before we knew. And so I think we had it, maybe a mild case of it. And I'm not saying I can fight it off and I'm superhuman, but I do see the survival rate, and I do see that most people do not deal with serious symptoms. We do have to note that. I mean, we do have 350 million people in this country. You are going to have a large number of people who are going to get sick, like really sick. But for the majority of people, it's not going to affect them that way. And I feel like I've already been through it. I feel very confident I've already been through it. And so now I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to wait on this vaccination. Now, I do think that if you're older, and you got nothing going on anyway,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. You get it. If you're a high risk person, get it. But I think the majority of us that probably feel like that, we've either dealt with it before and nothing happened, or we had it and nothing really happened. Maybe we were tested positive. I mean, we're seeing that in the NFL left and right. People being tested positive, and a week later they're playing football. So we've got to understand that there's a good majority. We know that there's a majority of people that will not be affected heavily.
Well, is it any wonder that we have the vaccine after Nick Saban got it?
Right. They just took his blood.
Yeah, we're all getting Saban. We're all going to be. This is how we all become superhuman.
Yeah, because Nick Saban was fine 2 days later.
Yeah, we're all going to be far more effective people. We'll probably not be very nice, but we will get shit done.
Well, we know. Listen, we know Trump had it, and he recovered quickly, and I think Pence has had it. We've seen people that we're knowing people now that have had it and be able to recover. I think that reduces the fear. So I don't know. I think we will see a small amount of people that will get the vaccine, because I think at this point people have seen enough of healthy people it's like a roulette, man. It's like roulette. You just don't know which if you get it, if you're going to be the really sick person or if you're going to be the healthy person. And the majority, thank goodness, will be healthy through it and not have any issues. And some people won't even know they have it. So I think the vaccine will not see a huge. I don't think you'll see a ton of people running out to get it. And I'll be curious to know if a lot of people run out to get the flu shot because right now, I was looking in Michigan. Michigan said that they had the lowest, and I knock on wood, but Michigan apparently has the lowest flu season they've ever had in their history because everybody's wearing masks and nobody's going out and everybody's using hand sanitizer. I think if you continue to live those rules and you continue to be precautionary and you take it serious and you go, you know what, I've got to wear a mask where they want me to and not try to make it.
And don't think please don't think you're the exception.
Right. Just here's my thing. I usually don't wear a mask. I don't wear it at work or anything like that. But if I go somewhere and they're asking me to wear it, I wear it. And it's a bitch to go back to my car.
I would prefer if you wore a mask on the show.
Yeah. I probably should. But it's a bitch to walk back to the car and get it. You know what I mean? Like I've left my mask in my car. I think that's a lot of the bitching and moaning is that people leave their mask in their car and then they get it to like the Publix or whatever. And they're like, God dang it. I got to go back and get that freaking mask.
I'm an anti-masker now.
Yeah. I'm an anti-masker now. I'm not wearing that. Screw that. But I'll go back to my car and I'll grab it. And it's a bitch. I hate it, but I'll go back and I'll get my mask and I'll put it on. And, I'll go where we wore them at the movie theater. No problem. I asked my wife to bring in her sanitizer and put it in her purse and we used it, if we went to the bathroom, whatever. So, you've just got to be really precautionary, but it'll be interesting to see because they say it's not going to be an immediate turnaround, but it'll be interesting to see how much cases drop. And it'll be interesting to see how many people actually go out and get this thing. But I don't think I'm going to be first in line. I think I'm going to give it a couple of months just to see. Because if something goes wrong, you're going to hear it first thing.
Yeah.
Well,
you're already hearing it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be allergic reactions.
Sure.
People's arms are going to fall off.
People are going to get gangrene.
They're going to get gangrene, and then
they're going to turn into heroin addicts overnight because they love the shot. No, I think I've got to wait. I just want to wait. And just kind of see. I don't know if my wife will be required to get one working in the school system. I'm almost going to bet that it's going to be a requirement. So that'll be interesting.
I would almost guarantee it.
But you know what? I mean, she has asthma, and you know what? I'm it's what kind of thing we talked about today was like, listen, you might be a great candidate for this because you have asthma. That's one of the worst things you can have in this situation. Although we feel like she's had it before, it could have been a different strand. Maybe it was COVID-17 and, she hadn't hit 19 yet. And maybe 19 will be the thing they'll put in the hospital. It might be good for her to get this. So we'll see. We'll see what happens as it comes out. But this is going to be an interesting thing to see how many people really rush out to get it or if they kind of wait and see. I think there's going to be a lot of wait and see on this thing.
I'm sure there will be.
One thing I wanted to add to this show is
a dance number
right now. And I know there was something that you wanted to talk about that had to do, you want to talk about something that has to do with YouTube, right? Because I don't want to spoil it.
With YouTube? No, it's Conor McGregor.
Okay. Yeah, it does. Because that's Jake Paul, right?
Jake Paul, right? Yeah.
Good Lord, man. You give this guy a hint, it just goes right over his head. All right. So I'm just kidding. Wait. I'm going to do a best week, worst week. I want to give the best week to Jake Paul. Because I think Jake Paul's having an incredible week. And you'll disagree with that, but for those that don't know, because I'm going to give you the worst week, and worst week, you're not going to deny this one. But best week, I had between Jake Paul and Tom Cruise. Because, Tom Cruise had that rant on a movie site. I don't know if you've heard about this.
Yes, I've heard it.
Which I'm like, all power to you, man. I think it's the best week for him. Because he's saying,
I'm torn.
Really?
Yeah, because people inside ex-Scientologists are saying this is exactly their MO. They take an issue that makes them seem virtuous and become tyrannical about.
I think that's just him.
Like,
Maybe
well,
that's
also it's also, I mean, that whole franchise is on his shoulders,
right.
so he's under enormous strain.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically taken the risk for this whole thing. And honestly,
Hmm.
if I'm going to take a risk, it's probably not going to be for Mission Impossible because
Yeah,
that series of movies is god awful. I'm sorry. I don't think the Mission Impossibles are good.
no,
Okay. The rubber mask and all this, it's just stupid. I get that it's the relation and it's a TV show and all that, but I just think that there's an unrealistic thing to Mission Impossible that I just can't get on board with. Anyway,
yeah, read John
I
le
think
Carre. That's real
yeah,
spy stuff.
I think it's just way too impossible. And I get it, Mission Impossible. I get it. I saw what you did there, but it just seems so stupid to me. I watched the first one. I was like, I'll never watch another one of that series again. But I get it. People like it, but I kind of think the whole thing. Listen, this is people's families are at stake in this movie. My ass is on the line. And you guys, all I ask is that you basically wear a mask, and you can't even freaking do that. And you know, you're putting the whole thing at risk to being
Mm.
shut down. I kind of think he had the best week, man, because I think a lot of people kind of said, yeah, hell yeah, man.
Yeah,
Like, you're basically got this all in your back, and you're standing up for yourself, and you're not letting people run over it and be like, whatever they want to do, they can do. And he's like, no, like this thing is my livelihood, and it's a livelihood. What do you say? This industry or this job's putting people's kids through college.
yeah. I mean, and people don't really appreciate
Right.
the enormity of the industry
Right.
and how many people, how many jobs are interlinked. And I mean, I think it's still our number one export.
Yeah. And I get that the whole science, everybody ties Scientology to anything that Tom Cruise does. And I understand why, but I think this is a good week. I think this is a good week for Tom Cruise to come out and be exposed that way, because I think people need to hear somebody take charge and say, look, this is a big deal. There's millions of dollars on the line right now, and
Hmm.
there's people that are getting a paycheck from this. And if you get us shut down, that's going to ruin everything. And I think he's right. Now the other thing is, I think Jake Paul's having a great week because he's calling out Conor McGregor. And if people don't know, Jake Paul is a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Um, and my God, I gotta say, now his brother Logan is worth a lot more. Now, I do you watch Jake Paul?
No,
Okay, do you watch his brother?
no. I don't watch any. The only vlogger I've ever really kept up with is Casey Neistat.
All right, so Jake Paul's net worth in 2020 is 17 million. Logan, I believe his brother is worth a lot more. Now, these are YouTubers who put videos on YouTube and get popular. I know there's some people. Now his brother's worth 19 million. I thought he was worth a lot more.
I would have thought he's worth more because he's the biggest.
Yeah, I never I never watched these YouTubers. However, if I could, dude, people are like, what if you could go back in time? What
Be
would
a
you
YouTuber.
change? I would be a YouTuber. There is a guy who does video gaming. Okay, and he's an awesome guy. He actually lives in Kennesaw. But there's this guy named Rad Brad, and Rad Brad does video games. Like he basically commented and filmed himself playing video games, and from that he got followers, and from YouTube's payment situation, which I hope would happen for us one day, um, throw some money their way because of advertising. He has a yearly income. This Rad Brad guy who does video gaming has a yearly estimated income of $137. They don't know exactly how much he makes. He makes somewhere between $140,000 a year to $1.38 million a year. Um, and I think they said he has 2.3. Back in 2014, he had 2.3 million subscribers, 750 million views. His net worth right now is $12 million for playing video games.
But the flip side of that is there's 1.7 million gamers that stream their gaming that don't make a cent.
That's true. Now,
and have you seen this on Facebook? The YouTubers that play the trucking game.
yes, I've actually been completely enthralled by that.
Now, do they just drive? Nothing
They
else
drive to fake spots and drop off materials, and it's on Facebook. And I dare not click on it because I'm like, I'm not going to be one of the people viewing. But by God, will I sit there for 30 minutes and watch these guys drive a big rig and deliver a fake computerized big rig?
It's everywhere. Every time I'm on Facebook, I see one of these guys.
Now I wanted to say something real quick. This estimate for Rad Brad was in 2014. At the point that they were making, this, somewhere between, let's say he's making $500,000 a year. Okay. This was when he had 2.3 million subscribers. As it stands right now, that was 2.3 million in 2014. And he's probably making, I'm going to cut the middle. I'm going to say 500,000 a year. He now has 12.3 million. So
he's set for life.
He's set for life. He's set for life. So these YouTubers like Jake Paul and Logan Paul
doesn't even have to touch the principal.
No. I mean, good for him too. I mean, you know what? Whatever, dude. I wish if I could get back in a time machine, I would have played video games on YouTube and filmed myself. First of all, it would have been god awful because people would have been like, "This dude's terrible." Okay. They would have been like, "This guy's absolutely horrible at video."
Have the hand-eye coordination to
right.
do it.
This guy's. I'm just watching to watch him cuss. Like God. I'm just watching to watch him flip out. So he's making this kind of money, but these Logan Paul, Jake Paul are YouTubers. They put videos on Facebook, and when you had told me about this thing, I'm gonna let you go in a second with this whole feeling you have on it. I watched Logan Paul's YouTube, and I rather enjoyed it. They had some really funny skits. There wasn't anything that was inappropriate. Listen, I have kids, man. There's so much inappropriate shit on YouTube that it's unbelievable, that it actually makes me angry. I'll give you an example. My oldest loves watching YouTube. And he's on YouTube and he's watching what I think is The Grinch. Or no. He's watching what I believe is Green Eggs and Ham. And I'm listening. And it's like, do you want green eggs and ham? Blah, 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 blah. Finally, the main character says, "Get the fuck away from me." And it went straight up my spine. And I thought, what are you watching? And it was some kind of Funny or Die skit where they went through Green Eggs and Ham, the pictures from the book, read it, and the whole idea is that the guy that's being bugged by the Green Eggs and Ham guy finally flips out and tells him to get the fuck away from him. And this is repeated over and over again. And it's part of the children's part of YouTube because they think it's Green Eggs and Ham.
Because it fits into their algorithm.
Dude, if I could have gotten my hands on the people that put that video together, I would have gone to jail that day because my kid starts repeating it. And it's funny now, but at the moment,
it's YouTube's fault.
You're so angry. And I can't block it. I can't figure out how to get it. I mean, we have gone through everything to try to. Finally, he stopped watching it. I mean, we blocked it and erased it so much from his history and everything that it's finally just moved on. But that was a real fight for us. So I watched Logan Paul and I'm like, okay, so I'm going to probably get something I hate. It's going to be some kind of poo-poo humor, something. It's going to be sexually suggestive. It was hilarious. He actually has a really funny, like, I mean, I didn't watch everything, but from what I saw, he was actually comedically pretty pretty well
Pretty
written
on
as far
point.
as
Yeah.
comedy. Yeah. And he's got like this little friend who's like, I would say, a little person that lives with him, and they make these skits, and they're actually really, really funny. And I saw no harm in anything he was doing. I mean, some stuff was, but overall, I'm like, you know what? This I can see why people like watching him. I get it. So to get to that point, him and his brother have made millions of dollars off of YouTube and people following them. So they've recently got into what, Wick?
Well, they've decided to get into boxing.
And have probably called on some very
Yeah. Well,
dangerous
who was
people.
it? And he was the undercard in the
Tyson?
Roy
Right?
George Jr. Tyson fight.
Yep.
And fought which former NBA guard?
Oh God. That
But he
was
won,
he did win.
and he had
And he
some
beat
chops. But now he's
well,
challenged Conor McGregor,
let's talk about that for a second
which
because
is
we
a
kind of
different animal.
we can yeah, absolutely. And we talked about that a little bit. And I said, hold on, this is an elite athlete. Whether or not you think that beating up an NFL player at the apex of his conditioning is a big deal or not, it most certainly is. If you're a YouTuber, it most certainly is. Because despite the fact whether or not the guy could box or whatever, he's still an elite athlete with an elite conditioning.
But boxing's different. Boxing is there's a lot more craft to it than people appreciate, I think.
There is, but I don't know that the Paul kids are any more trained than
Than that guy
basketball
was.
players.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, the difference is Conor McGregor is trained.
exactly. And you know
And
what? I saw the Conor McGregor,
Mayweather, yeah.
and I thought McGregor did fine. I mean,
That's what worries me about him fighting Jake Paul, or it doesn't worry me. I
he
mean, if you can stand in a ring with Floyd Mayweather,
yeah, I think. Listen, I think the biggest thing about boxing, and it's not very far from MMA, except for the fact that I mean, you're talking 3 rounds of 3 minutes, but I
footwork's a
think
lot
that
different.
the conditioning,
The
right, for
conditioning's
boxing,
different.
yeah, I
You have to
think
be in better condition, I would imagine, to box than MMA.
right.
I may be wrong about that, and I may
I
get lit
do
up
I
for
do
that.
100% believe that because you do a
Yeah,
lot of ground and pound, a lot of guys
yeah.
go to the ground because they're tired
Hmm.
it's an opportunity to kind of refuel yourself a little bit. Now, I know I'm going to get all these messages about how I'm fat and I don't know what I'm doing, blah, 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 blah. And you take me down, and I would guess. I believe you 100% before you even send that.
Well, I
You're right.
also think that boxing can, take some patience, whereas I don't see how patience really in MMA. I mean, I think it's just
It's aggression.
aggression, 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 aggression. Yeah.
Well, I've always said with Muhammad Ali, uh, one of the greatest aspects of Muhammad Ali, and you will never convince me any differently, is that his conditioning was better than anybody else.
I would say in almost every case of a world class athlete or people that are the greatest at what they've ever done athletically,
Conditioning.
and probably in anything, it's conditioning. You think of Jerry Rice running
Michael
the hill,
Jordan. Yep.
Michael Jordan outworking everybody,
Ali.
Barry Sanders running
Yes.
300-yard dashes at the end of
Yes.
practice.
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
Full speed.
That full speed. I mean, that's what makes the guys better. To use a football analogy, they're still at a 100% efficiency rate in the fourth quarter,
If you want to be
and their fundamentals don't begin to flag.
if you're gifted with athletic genetics, okay,
Yeah,
do yourself a favor and get your conditioning as good as it can ever be, because
that's
it
the
will
only
be
way you're
hard
going to make it.
it'll be hard to outwork you. It will be hard for anybody to outwork you if your conditioning is better than theirs is. And where people get into these elite situations like the NFL and everything like that, is they find out everybody else is more conditioned
It's
than they
just
are.
as good. You hear it all the time. People that make it to the pros in any sport, and they suddenly are,
Yep.
they've come up being the best that ever played the sport in their high school. They're probably the best baseball, basketball, and football player their school has ever seen. And then they go to college and they're amongst the best that school has ever seen. And then suddenly,
As you go from high school to the college ranks to NFL, you realize that everybody got better for every stage you go to.
and they get exponentially better.
Yes, yes. And if
And
you're
then
not
you get to the
conditioned,
NFL or any Major League Baseball, and you suddenly realize, you're trying to cover Jerry
well,
Rice.
okay,
And
yeah, you're exactly right. And I also think that if Conor McGregor has fought in a boxing match with Floyd Mayweather, if there's anything that Conor McGregor learned from that is conditioning.
yeah,
I mean, because he gassed out.
he gassed out,
He
and Floyd
gassed
didn't.
out, which was what Floyd Mayweather was going to do with him. He
Yeah.
was going to gas him out. Floyd Mayweather is a brilliant technician in boxing.
And he knew that, and that was their
He knew it.
strategy. That was their
He
game
knew
plan.
it. He knew he would be aggressive in the beginning,
Mhm.
just to hang on, get through it, and then wait for him to tire out, which is what Ali did as well.
It's what Ali did to everybody. That
So-
was
I got to think that Conor McGregor is probably well aware of his conditioning and what it needs to be to fight. But here we are with Jake Paul
but is he going to have the
wanting to
is he
fight
going to attack it with the intensity a professional athlete would?
Jake Paul.
Exactly.
I heard that he unfollowed everyone but Conor McGregor's fiance, which I think is hilarious. I think Jake
That's
Paul's
pretty
gonna,
funny.
I mean, you got to give it to trolling. I mean, I think he's going to be excellent at trolling. Do we know if Conor McGregor has accepted that fight?
I have not heard anything about that.
I don't think.
He should.
Now, Jake Paul's saying that he's offering $50 million for McGregor.
He doesn't
to
have
fight.
50 million.
Jake Paul, Jake. This is from SB Nation.
The first thing that came up, I just saw that, has proof of the 50 million.
Okay, so the YouTube turned boxer is still angling to fight Conor McGregor, and he says that a billionaire real estate person is backing the 50 million.
That could very well be true.
Could very well be true. My question is, why does he got to pay Conor McGregor 50 million?
Well, that's just a pot, right?
I don't know, because I think you have to assume that that's what you're going to make on buys for the pay-per-view.
For the pay-per-view, yeah.
Yeah, because you're going to almost have to. And Conor McGregor has not accepted it, which I think is a little strange. I think because Conor McGregor is probably the greatest troll of the UFC, right? I mean, that's kind of his thing.
As far as I know, yeah, I'm not a big UFC guy, but
I don't watch it. I know who these guys are.
yeah.
But I think that's kind of like his thing too. I think he's probably not gonna take it because I think he recognizes a good troll, and I think he's like, you know what? The more if I'm trolling me,
Or he's trying to up the pot.
possibly, or he's saying, you know what? If I'm trolling me, the one thing that would make me the most mangry is if I ignore
Mangry.
mangry. Now, the thing that would make me the most furious is if I ignore myself. And I think that's what he's doing. I think he's saying, if I mouth off back, I'm giving him exactly what he wants. Because I think people who troll like that do have a different mental mentality for emotional expense and what they spend it on. And I think Conor McGregor is probably smart enough to be like, you know what? I know exactly what you want because it's what I would want, and I'm not going to give it to you. So I don't know if this fight's ever going to take place, really. But I think Jake Paul's having a great week because if anything, he's gaining people's attention. He's given himself an opportunity that if he's serious about fighting, that calling out Conor McGregor is going to get somebody who will step up in that place and say, I'll fight.
Yeah.
And it's going to be somebody that's probably as leveled as
He should
McGregor.
He should fight Tyson.
Who would want to fight Tyson, dude? Even at this level.
I wouldn't want to fight. I mean, you even
No.
saw Roy. Did you see the interview after the fight with Roy Jones Jr.?
I did not.
He was just like, he could tell he was like, I thank God I didn't get just pummeled into jelly.
Who? Rojo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jones Jr. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, he had no business being in that. Neither, I mean, two weight classes. I mean, it was kind of stupid anyway, and
Mhm.
nobody was going to win.
But now they're talking about Evander too.
Evander sounds like he's got scrambled eggs for brains. It's time to.
Yeah.
So Logan Paul, Will Box, his brother Logan, who's the bigger of the two, I think, will fight. Okay. Floyd Mayweather Jr. announced Sunday he will return to the ring in a super exhibition. That's the key. Against YouTuber Logan Paul, the match scheduled now for February 20th of 2021. The bout will be available pay-per-view. According to the Vince website, the first 1 million purchases will cost $24.99. It will increase after that to $39.99. The threshold is reached on December 29th. The price jumps to $60.
Or you can wait an hour after the fight and just watch it on YouTube.
And then to $70 on February 11th. The announcement comes 1 week after Paul's brother Jake Paul knocked out former NBA player Nate Robinson. Logan Paul has fought before. He fought twice with a vlogger, big deal, and a rapper, big deal. With the first bout ending in a draw, and a second with the rapper beat Logan Paul. Well, he's not very good and needs to quit.
Yeah.
Mayweather, who is undefeated in his career at 50-0, probably sees this as a money opportunity, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Floyd Mayweather knows money.
Yeah.
He knows money. He knows how to make money. He knows how to generate money. That's all this is about. I would not pay for that pay-per-view, especially if Logan Paul lost to a rapper.
And he's going to try to fight.
Yeah. It's not going to work out well.
Forget it.
But they're probably going to, you know what they're going to do? They're going to spar.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to knock out anybody else. That's the game. They're going to spar. They're going to pit-pat each other back and forth. Because Mayweather, we all know, is a defensive technician. He's not really an aggressive boxer.
I'll just go on YouTube and watch Ali fight Foreman.
I'll just hear about it like 3 months after it happens because I'll forget.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'll be watching Ali. I'll go down an Ali rabbit hole on YouTube and be there for 2 weeks.
Yeah. I
watch every fight.
I wonder whatever happened
every fight he ever had.
But listen, Jake Paul, great week, man. And right now, he's out trolling Conor McGregor. He's got $50 million backing him. Conor McGregor's letting him talk about his fiance. He's not giving him any reaction. You know what? I give Jake Paul a lot of credit here. Jake Paul and Tom Cruise, to me, are having the best week. Now, I want to tell you who I think is having the worst week, because I don't know if you heard about this. But former members of TLC confirmed a long-held suspicion today that their 1999 hit single, No Scrubs, was written about no one other than Full House cast member Dave Coulier, Uncle Joey from the show Full House.
Well, is this real? Because
yes,
Alanis Morissette's big hit was.
Yes. So Blue Cantrell, a singer, revealed that Hit 'Em Up Style was also written about Coulier. I think it's Dave Coulier. Fellow Full House alum Bob Saget confirmed Collier's predicament and his issue for musical women. He says, quote, "I tried to tell him he should probably stop dating musicians, but he wouldn't listen," said Saget. "I mean, there's already one immortal song dedicated to calling you a piece of shit, so maybe you should cut your losses. I never understood why he's always been eager to take credit for You Ought to Know. Like, buddy, did you even listen to the lyrics?"
Yeah.
So now No Scrubs is about guys who hang out the pasture side of their best friend's ride, trying to holler at them. Okay, so that is where this song is absolutely originated from. Dave Coulier and Uncle Jesse, John Stamos, rode by the members of TLC in a parking lot, and Dave Coulier stuck his head out trying to get their numbers. And that is where No Scrubs came from. Dave Coulier is having the worst week ever.
That's pretty bad.
So,
did you ever hear the story of Bob Saget and John Stamos? They witnessed a car wreck, And so they go to one of the cars, and the girl is unconscious, but they're like staring in at her, and they're like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And she, slowly comes to, and so she comes to and looks up, and to find Bob Saget and John Stamos staring at her. Like, can you imagine how weird that would be?
It would be Twilight Zone weird, but yeah, man.
And the same thing happened in a separate incident, obviously, with Michael Stipe and Woody Harrelson
Together
came upon a wreck, and so I don't know if the person was unconscious, but they were being helped by Woody Harrelson and Michael Stipe.
That's amazing. Now that's the story you want. To me, that's a better story. Anything that involves Woody Harrelson's a better story. Let's be honest.
Well, yeah, Woody Harrelson, come on.
But I mean, like, how bad is life for Dave
Two
Collier?
bald white guys.
How bad is life for Dave Collier?
Oh, he's probably living pretty large on those residual checks.
Did they bring him back to the remake? I think they did, didn't they?
I don't know. Was he in the original?
Yeah, yeah. His net worth right now, $5 million.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Well, that's not a lot of money in California, is it?
That's enough money anywhere, I think.
Is it really?
$5 million.
Here in California, like, people have $3 million houses.
Yeah, but think about the compound interest on $5 million over time.
Yeah, well, you got to be really, really smart too, though. I mean, you have to start.
Well, you just have to not be stupid, really. You just put it in a Roth IRA.
I'm trying to see if he was in Fuller House. Let's see. I don't know if he was or not. But it never seemed like he was that funny anyway. And he, like,
no, Bob Saget, on the other hand, is hilarious. I mean, if you ever have the opportunity to see him do stand up, it's incredible. He's not what you think he is at all.
He didn't. Let's see here. Now, hold on. Yes, he did.
He had a joke.
Yeah, he did.
He had a joke about the Olsen twins. Bob Saget did, about how annoyed he was with them on the set. He wanted to pick one of them up and beat the other one with them.
I saw the roast of his where they roasted him. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, he was in Fuller House, the Full House, Fuller House, all that good stuff. And this guy just can't catch a break because it seems like women just can't stand him. Is he married now? No. Yes, he married a woman in 2014. I guess he's put all this behind him. But I mean, it's pretty bad when everybody's telling you, people are writing songs about your behavior. You know, it's like he's just like on the cusp of Harvey Weinstein, you know?
He's the next one to go down. Right.
It's like he's just waiting for that one to happen. But yeah, worst week ever. I'm glad I'm not Dave Collier. I don't care if he's worth $5 million. It's not worth having everybody pretty much tell you what a piece of crap you are all the time. And people now telling you that songs they wrote about, you 20 years ago.
Well, you have a good point, because he could have $5 million and not have this reputation.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would still have $5 million.
It's like, what would you rather have, money or fame? Money, always money. Fame,
money, always money.
Yeah, fame dies out, man. But yeah.
Bill Murray had a quote about it.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up. Wick, is there anything you wanted to finish up on or anything?
No. Jake Paul is going to get his head kicked in if he fights Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
Or punched in.
And Logan Paul is going to get pretty much worn out by. I don't even know why they're doing that. I mean, crazy.
It's kind of sad, actually. These are. Conor McGregor is one thing,
but this is where
Floyd Mayweather's a boxer.
This is where we live, right? I mean, this is the world we live in right now, where this will probably make millions of dollars. It will absolutely.
I just keep hoping.
Certainly make.
Yeah, it will, and I just keep hoping boxing goes back to a golden age. But it's never going to happen.
We live in a world where YouTubers are making millions of dollars and they're boxing real legit athletes. And we have girl kickers at Vanderbilt that are kicking field goals right now. It's a really hard world to live in right now to understand it. It's very confusing for us. What do you think about the Vanderbilt girl kicker before we leave?
All for it. All for it.
I'm not.
Why?
I think it's a bad idea. Because I think people are going to be scared to aggressively play against her. I also think that if she's doing kickoffs, which she did do already, that
if she's the last line of defense on a
here's
return.
the thing. She kicks the ball off. I've seen this. She does a kickoff, and then she runs off the field. So legitimately, Vanderbilt's one person down in a kickoff return situation. I think it's a horrible idea. And I get the woke. Listen, I won't always agree on the woke situation. I'll be the first one to tell you. I think all that sometimes is silly. But I'm also, listen, what was it? Tulsi Gabbard, the Hawaiian, was she a governor? Senator? Something like that. She ran for president anyway. I kind of liked her. Anyway, she's passing a law now that's saying, look, if you were born male, you can't compete in female sports. And I'm all for that. I'm 100% on board with it. I think it's 100% right. And that was one of the things that had come out in the news. And this, along with this Vanderbilt kicker, I don't have a problem with her kicking field goals. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think she can kick field goals as well as a man. That's not my issue. My issue is that when the shit hits the fan and people start returning the ball and heads are flying, she's running off to the sideline, which, if I'm a fan of Vanderbilt, has made.
So it's more about being on the kickoff team being an issue.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I have zero. I mean, do I think that a guy's not going to try to stop a field goal kick for a win and possibly hit her? I don't think anybody gives a shit.
Well, she's 6'2" for one.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I'm not going to, I mean, if I'm going and I'm blocking a field goal for to stop a win, I'm not worried about her. Will some guys do it? Some guys may take a second thought about it and be like, you know what? Maybe it's a bad idea. But overall,
I don't think they will.
I mean, you're on the field, you play. But I do have an issue with you kick off the ball at the beginning of the quarter or at the end of a score, and then you run off the field, and I'm one less person. How many times do we see a kicker stop a run back? We see it all the time.
A lot. Yeah.
A lot more than you think. And what, she's just going to run off the field because she's a girl? I mean, if we're going to play, let's play. But I think you're screwing the team. I think your wokeness of trying to be, aware of what's around you and be politically correct is hurting.
I also think another view on that is you see that a lot in the NFL where they have a place kicker and then a field goal kicker.
Yes.
And I think it's specifically for that reason. A lot of times these field goal kickers come from soccer, and they don't want to get hit.
Yeah.
And that's why they'll have a place kicker, because they come, it's usually some guy that had played in college, another position, and then specialized in kicking.
It's like these girls that want to come out and play quarterback. It's not that you can't throw it, although I don't think that you could legitimately throw it as far as most male quarterbacks could. Genetically, I don't think it's possible. I mean, maybe you can some, but not not average. Okay. But you're not going to tell me that you're going to kick off and then you're going to run off and leave me one man short. Any coach that even is doing that should be fired, which they did fire the coach like 2 weeks ago. But she's back out there kicking field goals.
But it wasn't because of that.
I don't think it was because of that. It's because they were like 0-12.
It's because this Vanderbilt hasn't won a game since 1927.
Forever. But you're not going to win games throwing a female, place kicker out there and then having to run off and be one man short. You're definitely not going to win games. You're not going to you're going to give up good field position. And you're going to lose your last line of defense.
I mean, not that this is a sports show, but it's also a testament to how hard it is to find a good kicker.
Yeah, true. But they don't have a male soccer program from what I understand. They don't even have an athletic department. So that's that.
Vanderbilt doesn't have an athletic department?
No. Unless they got it in the last couple of years. They got rid of it a long time ago. They do not care about their sports.
No, it's
legitimately. Now,
yeah, I don't know. They shouldn't be in the SEC. They should
be in the Sun Belt.
Yeah, I would say ACC, but the ACC's come way up now.
Yeah. And this whole thing with Tulsi Gabbard on the same topic, where she's like, "Hey, look, if you were born a male, you can't compete in female." I know people are up at arms. I'm telling you that you got to do something about this. Genetically, I don't care. Scientifically, genetically, in every way, men on average, because of their testosterone, because of their build, because of how they're born into their bodies, they are stronger than females on average. And all you're doing is you're corrupting and disrupting and cheating in a sport that is made for females that are genetically on the same level of
It's
strength.
very interesting you bring up testosterone. I heard I nerded out and listened to a lecture by a neuroscientist. And what they discovered with testosterone is that it does not make males more aggressive.
No, it doesn't. But
It makes them do what enhances their stature maybe more aggressively.
Right. It
Like
will
if you, what they determined was that people with higher levels of testosterone, if their standing in their society was enhanced by going out and feeding the homeless, they would go out and do that more vigorously.
Okay.
It's crazy.
But what it does do is change your skeletal muscular makeup.
Yeah,
because it absolutely does that. That is why when we talk about The Rock and people using steroids that were using testosterone and synthetic testosterone, you will see their actual bone frame change. You will see their jaws widen. You will see a portion of their muscular body weight increase underneath the muscle. So it also causes muscle to grow at a faster rate and repair at a faster rate.
Mm-hmm.
That is why people in the NFL don't use steroids because they get bigger. They don't use steroids because they get stronger. They use steroids to repair injuries. So this guy will.
Well, I think they also use it to get bigger and stronger.
I don't think, but getting bigger and stronger doesn't necessarily make you a better athlete. What it does do, though, if you're already a gifted athlete,
it makes you faster, though, as well.
It depends on what you use, but yes, it can.
Yeah,
you're right. You're right. But this Will Fuller guy that got busted in Houston just 2 weeks ago is a guy who's constantly injured. He's got an amazing talent out of Notre Dame. He's an amazing wide receiver. And when he's healthy, he puts up points like nobody's business. I mean, guy, 8 catches for 115 yards and a touchdown. He scored 3 touchdowns in a game once. The problem was you can't keep him healthy. All of a sudden, Will Fuller has the healthiest season he's ever had this year. And
can somebody please give Julio Jones some of this?
If Julio Jones took steroids, Julio Jones would be a healthier athlete. If AJ Green took steroids, he'd be a healthier athlete. There is no doubt about that. Most elite athletes that have been performing at that level are not taking it to be faster because they are already competing at that elite level. You will find that most guys who are taking testosterone or taking steroids are taking it to heal. They're taking it to get better because your body's taking an enormous amount. I mean, you played. I played. You're taking an enormous amount of punishment on your body.
Especially in football.
Yeah, and when you're doing it at that level, at that speed, at that strength, and you're hitting linebackers
I don't know how people survive a play in the NFL, honestly.
I mean, look, Benjamin Watson, who is a tight end for a lot of leagues, he retires, right? This is a Christian. I actually follow him. I think he's a great follow on Facebook and Instagram. He's just a good and positive, insightful guy. So Ben Watson retires. New England calls him up and is like, "We want you to come play." So he comes back and he plays and he gets popped for steroids. And he legitimately says, "When I quit the NFL, my body hurt so bad.
Yeah.
I had so many injuries. I had so many things that were going to take me months to recover from that. Yes, I took steroids because of the healing process and how that's why you get steroids when you go to the doctor. It helped me heal my body. I didn't think I was going to come back to the NFL. And I was at the end of a cycle. Just so happened I was hoping I was going to pass and I didn't. And I knew I probably wouldn't. But I was taking them at home, not to compete. I was taking them at home
to heal.
And I think that's so it definitely. So when we talk about men taking, men having testosterone, it absolutely helps you heal faster. You just have enough to heal at a normal rate for a male. But when you double that, triple that, especially with wrestlers and people like that, of course, they're taking it to get bigger. But there's also a healing factor there. And my issue is that when you have males that compete in female sports, their natural skeletal strength, skeletal muscle, muscle length, muscle strength, muscle endurance is automatically stronger than a female. You can take any of these guys that are sitting here playing video games 24/7 that are 22 years old,
Most.
I would say almost all of them, and you can compare them with the average female, and they will still be stronger because of their natural way that the body.
We're talking about average versus
average normal person. So when you take an athlete and say, "Oh, you're a female now, go ahead and compete in the female, wrestling, or compete in female, swimming, compete in all," you're setting up a completely bad and terrible environment for that sport, which is supposed to be competing against like physically abilitied people. So in softball, females in softball, which are badasses, I'm not taking anything away from the natural female athlete. Please understand. But here's excellent proof of this. When, we will sit there and call Serena Williams the greatest tennis player or one of the greatest tennis players of all time. And then John McEnroe comes out and says, she's not one of the greatest tennis players of all time. She's the greatest female tennis player of all time. And I say, well, where do you get that from? He's like, because she would not beat a top 200 male. And people got pissed.
Yeah, I remember that happened.
Guess what? She played a top 200 male when she was a lot younger. And he played her and her sister and wiped the floor with them both. And he smoked between sets. And I want to say there was a rumor he played barefoot. He was a 200th ranked male tennis player in the world. And she was like the 5th female ranked tennis player in the world. And he whomped her. It's just how it is. We can act like we can get mad about that, the specifics and the details of how science works, how bodies are made differently, because that's just how it is. And we can wish that we were different. But when you talk about on a competitive level where people are trying to win credit, they're trying to win scholarships, they're trying to win for their own personal reasons, win and feel good about themselves, and you march a bunch of guys out there that have gone through a sex transformation, they consider themselves women, they're playing volleyball, and they're spiking on women that have never been spiked on like that before in their lives, or being outswam by a physically superior is such a bad word, but it's not superior. It's just a different body build, which gives men a little bit more edge in a competitive situation. And I think she's completely right. And people are flipping out about this. And I think people need to relax and realize it's okay to be born male and female. But what we can't do is disregard a female sport and the effort that's given by these females, by their natural gifts or limitations in compared to a male, and say you have to compete with that because we don't want to tell them that they're not female. So you have to go compete with that and try to win. And I think it's cheating. I think it's terrible. And listen, the Vanderbilt kicker, she can kick a field goal just like a male. No problem. That is a case where I get it. It's not a problem for me. But then here we are.
Yeah.
And kickoff situation. We're running.
She can't bring him down.
Because she either can't bring him down, or if somebody plows her,
yeah, she's going to get
freaking hurt her. Okay? She is a top level athlete that competes in college soccer. She is an athlete. She's a top level athlete.
I would maybe take issue with that. She's going to get hurt more easily. I don't think if you or I took a punch from Mike Tyson, it's going to do any more damage than one of his opponents, just physically.
Would it do more damage to a female?
I don't think so, unless like they have. I don't think they have inferior bone structure.
Okay, now take us and well, maybe we're bad examples, but take us in our 20s and have us full on punch a female that's our same age in our 20s, maybe even physically more fit than we are. We'll hurt her.
But I don't think we would hurt her any more than
because
if we punched each other.
But what I'm saying is that no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think naturally, if you just study male versus female muscular strength, not muscular strength, I'm sorry, skeletal muscular.
Yeah.
The stabilizer muscles, the longer muscles, and the weight difference.
It's genetics. I mean, if you go and you look at
genetics,
you can look at somebody who seems at the apex of physically fit, but for some reason they have the aesthetics and they look like an athlete, but there is something that's just preventing them from being a top tier athlete. And if you look closely,
cocaine abuse.
It's cocaine.
Yeah.
It's always cocaine.
It's always cocaine.
See Lawrence Taylor. No, it's hamstrings.
Yeah.
If you look at really truly athletic people, you can see it in the hamstrings.
Yeah.
And the hammies are a dividing line.
The hammies are a dividing line. It is huge. And I'm sorry, I agree with her. I think she's right. I think it hurts female sports. And I think most female athletes would agree.
Yeah.
I think if you ask them, do they want these guys? And I'm not downing on guys, but to me, what would be the difference if you want to compete? Here's what I find really interesting. Is if you're a male who feels like you're in a female body or whatever, but you like playing baseball, be a male in a female body going through a sex change playing baseball against other males, because by physical stature, you're even.
Yeah, why would they want to do it anyway? That's what I mean. It shouldn't even be.
Why are you going to the female side of it? Because that makes you feel more like a female?
Because you'll be better.
You feel like you can win.
Are there going to be dudes that do it just to be better athletes?
I guarantee you this will start a trend. But I think Tulsi Gabbard's absolutely right. I think it's a law they need to pass.
Because if I had played football against 21 other females, I would have been a much better defensive back.
Right.
I would have had like 10 interceptions a game.
You would have been in college. You would have gone. Yeah. Somebody would have come and, hey, buddy. And the female league.
No, and then we're going
to give you a scholarship to Alabama.
Strings, and it'll be like, you don't have the hammies. And I'll be like, I can work on them. And they're like, you're never, no matter how many grandstands you run, you're never going to have them.
Is it true when they recruited you, they said it looked like a chicken was giving you a piggyback ride?
That's very true. If it were true that I were ever recruited.
Right. No, I agree with this. And I think people need to go ahead and say, we get it. I know that we're in a situation where politically correctness is a big deal and people want to be woke and everybody wants to be very careful about what they say. But I'll say it. I think Tulsi Gabbard's on the right track here. I think it needs to be done. I think colleges and high schools need to pass this rule and say, look, we don't listen, there's no reason that if you're a male trapped in a female body and you want to swim, that you can't swim against men.
Yeah, there's no reason.
But why is it that you don't want to? That's my question. Why is it that you don't want to? Because you're not going to tell.
Because they want to identify completely as a female, but this is a very.
But when it comes to sports, there's a genetic advantage for males if a male takes care of himself. Now, understand, there's females that would whip my ass in anything that they do. My wife can whip my ass doing a lot of things because she's physically a lot more fit than I am. 100%. So
women are way more flexible.
Let's don't get
by nature.
Let's don't get confused at what I'm saying. But if I matched her physical ability, if I matched her physical shape. Okay. And I had the, endurance that she had, flexibility she had, and abilities she had. The universe, nature, whatever you believe in, God, whatever, has blessed me with abilities inside that I am going to outmatch her.
God has
we just
gifted
need
you
to
with
accept
athletic
it.
abilities.
God has gifted me with athletic abilities like Deion Sanders. You know what? You know where I beat her, which is the weirdest thing, is blood pressure.
Really?
My blood pressure kicks hers ass. And she weighs about 105. It's amazing. I truly have. I'll be dead tomorrow. Watch. I'll have a stroke or heart attack tonight.
Yeah.
Replay this if that happens, please, because it will be hilarious. Please be like, I've got something everybody needs to see. Fast forward to the last 10 minutes of the show. I have like the blood pressure, and like what do they call it? Blood pressure and I don't want to say pulse. It sounds so simple. Of like Deion Sanders.
Resting pulse rate.
Resting pulse rate and my blood pressure rate is like Deion Sanders. That's all I got to say. Deion. Because I looked it up and I was like, because my wife's like, because she has to keep it with hers because she has high blood pressure.
Can you run a 4.2 540?
No, God, no. Not on my best day. Not with a rocket strapped to my ass. I couldn't do that. I could probably run a 4.8 flat back in the day. That's with
you know what's amazing, what people don't really understand is the difference between a 4.6 and a 4.4 40
to the eye.
I mean, you go, that's nothing. That guy, it's all the difference in the world.
You will see it when you see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like my 4.3, 4.2 speed is like unbelievable for somebody to see it.
That is anything under 4.4, you can be in the Olympics.
Oh, done.
Yeah. I mean,
I think Tyreek Hill.
Most running backs in the NFL are probably between 4.5 and 4.7.
Tyreek Hill of the Kansas City Chiefs, they call him the Cheetah. I think he runs a 4.3. And he blows past almost anybody he wants to.
They say, or Bo Jackson says himself, that he was timed at 4.18.
I believe it.
And I don't doubt it.
I believe it 100%.
Yeah. I think he was
100%.
He was a once in a generational kind of athlete that you just
incredible. Greatest athlete that ever of all time, in my opinion. But yeah, I just wanted to get, before we got out of here, I wanted to get your opinion on some kind of controversial, but yeah, I'm in for this, man. I if you want to play with, I would, the issue would be this: when you go and play male baseball and you're in transition, do the other male baseball players treat you the same? That's where we've got to change things, not the sport. We have to change the players. But when we try to accommodate people who are taking advantage of a situation and really truly putting a stain on female competitive sports, we got to stand up to that and say, no, we've got to protect females that are playing this sport as much as we got to protect males. There could be females that want to get into a sport where they know guys won't touch them and guys won't do this to them because they know how to look. And so they join, male sports and stuff like that because they.
You know what I would like to see, though? I'd like to see. I almost said a shirts game, but it's probably poor terminology. And in golf,
shirts versus skins.
Is in golf. Like you can. Now there is a game where an elite female athlete could probably get within striking distance.
No. I follow golf. The longest driver hitter on the LPGA, I think, is 260 yards. The longest on the males.
Yeah, but it's really, I mean, the drive's overrated.
Hold on.
The drive's overrated, is it not?
No. Because if you're hitting at 260 as a female, and right now there's a golfer who's playing at 360, 100 more yards than you're hitting it. That's one less club. That's why they. Yeah,
but John Daly. I mean, he's not even competitive, and
Now he's not. No, but back in
But
the
he never,
day, he
he
was.
wasn't great though.
John
But he had a
Daly.
great drive. That's all
John
what he
Daly's
did.
an incredible athlete.
It's all
John
what
Daly's
you
an
do.
incredible athlete.
Isn't it all what you do after the drive though?
Yeah, but to be in that realm, you kind of already got that. I would still say that. Well, it's the reason why women play from a different tee box than men do. Even in the pros, they move the women up because a two
Yeah.
60. The average golfer hits at 220, 230. That's me out there hitting at 220, 230. We know I'm not athletic ability. So a female in the LPGA is hitting it 30 yards farther than I am. However, a male pro is hitting it 160
But
yards past me.
what does the average do? What is the average drive of a PGA golfer?
I think last I looked was 320.
That's the average off the tee.
They're getting longer. Steroids.
They are conditioned better now than they ever were.
I have a couple that are that I watch golf a lot. There's a couple that I believe are 100% on steroids.
It wouldn't
But
surprise
yeah,
me.
320. So a female hitting at 260 on her best day.
There's no way she can compensate from
You would have to
from the
do,
fairway to the green.
She could. No. So okay, no, because here's the deal. It depends on if you're playing from the same tee box. You put them on
Right.
the same tee box, no way. You put them on two different tee boxes, yeah, but then you're not. But then you're not really playing. So if you move the guy up to the
That's not equal.
female tee box and he's hitting it now 370, 380, he's driving greens. He's hitting.
Do you think there is any LPGA pro that can compete with any PGA pro
No.
on 18 holes?
On any? Yeah, I'm sure.
Like you take number 1 versus number 200.
Yeah. Possibly. But I think it's just more right now, golf's more of an advantage of distance because that's why everybody's getting longer because they want to be closer to the green to reduce the stress of the second shot. So now we're getting into points where we're just hitting 80 yards into the green versus 150.
Right. But I heard Nicholas say it's all about the green.
It is. The problem that you have now is that all these young people that are coming along have been playing golf since they were 4.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of it doesn't affect them like it did in the older generations where guys were starting to play at 13 and then they ended up being golf stars and one of the few that people even knew of, right?
Can I tell you what the bane of my existence is?
Golf.
I play golf on my iPad. I play St. Andrews.
It's tough.
I can't even break par.
Yeah.
And there are guys on the game that are like, they'll shoot 12 below at St. Andrews. It makes me crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing though. I mean, I'm trying to think of a sport where maybe softball and baseball are very similar, but I had to think of.
I think golf is about as close as you're going to get.
Soccer, because there's no contact. I would imagine there's a lot of females that are very fast, quick twitch muscles.
Fast enough.
I would say that's the closest you're going to get to soccer.
Even more than golf.
Yeah. I don't think in golf, I mean, they're definitely, listen, I went to the driving range not too long ago. This is a funny story. There's a woman who had to have been 70 years old that was plowing balls down the middle 280. And I was like, I'm going home. I went home because I wasn't even close. I cried.
It's probably
I went in the shower. I turned the shower on. I curled up in the bottom of it and just rocked and cried. But no, it made me feel like I don't even know why I'm doing this. This is so dumb. I got other stuff I could be doing, like losing weight, or working out and doing something for myself. But in certain situations, absolutely. Like she would school me. But I think if you're talking about pros, I think it's a
Yeah.
lot like tennis, where you would think that tennis would be very even, right? You would
No,
think
it's not.
you get the serve, you got return, and no, it's not. So I don't think
I
that
don't even know
golf
how
is
they.
much different than that.
I don't even know how they return a serve coming at them at 130 miles an hour. You almost have to swing before the
Because
serve.
because of the loss of distance that women have off the tee, you got to think about, okay, if we're going to try to pair them up side by side, this is going to be murder. Because one thing is that the difference between being really good at 80 yards out and being really good at 150 yards out is Tiger Woods. Okay. I mean, you have to be really good at 150 yards out, which is where females coming in at.
Right.
So if you move him back to the same tee box, no, you're losing 100 yards. The guy's probably 80 yards out. He's chipping up and he's putting in for bird. If you move the guy up to where the female is, he's still schooling her. So maybe the only way that you could do it is put them on different tees like they do now. But is that really comparing apples to apples then?
No.
Because all you're doing is you're moving the female up 50 yards. So no. I'm sorry. People have to just accept that things are just different between men and males and females in certain aspects of competitive sports. And that's okay. That's okay. There's some amazing female golfers that inspire other women. There are amazing female soccer players. The American female soccer group, how they inspire women.
Great.
Softball players that go to college on scholarships to play softball. I mean, guys, listen, they try to, and in reverse, they had a female softball player a fast pitch softball player pitch to, this was in high school. She was on a scholarship to go to college. They put her up against the high school baseball team. Not one of them could hit a fast pitch softball she pitched to them.
Really?
None of them could hit it. None of the males in the high school that played on the baseball team could hit the ball. She was that fast. Yep. So, I mean, it goes both ways. You know what I mean? So in that instance, but then if she were to throw it overhand baseball, they would have clocked the ball out of the park. But it's because she was fast pitch underhand. They couldn't.
And what would happen after a week's practice?
Of the guys trying to practice that?
Yeah.
Hand-eye coordination? Probably would catch it.
Yeah.
But that's still a credit to her, because these are guys who have great hand-eye coordination anyway, just to be able to play high school baseball. So, I mean, still a ton of credit to her. But yeah, it was a big thing on YouTube, but she was freaking pitching the shit out of the ball, dude. Like, they had no shot.
And I've seen that one girl that has a YouTube channel that throws footballs. She's just incredible.
Yeah.
She's a jock.
Yeah, but there's exceptions. I mean, we're always going to have exceptions. You know what I mean? It's like I was telling somebody the other day, I'm going to edit all this out. But anyway, I was telling somebody the other day in football, fantasy football. I said, I think I have Derek Cook, who's 25 years. He's going to be 26 next year. He's phenomenal, right? Dalvin Cook. And I said, yeah, I think I'm going to trade Dalvin Cook. And the guy's like, why in the hell would you trade Dalvin Cook? I said, he's going to be 26. And he's like, what's that mean? And I said, well, traditionally 26, 27, 28, they start backsliding no matter how good they are. They're going to go down. Look at Julio Jones. I mean,
yeah.
And he's like, yeah, but that's not saying, look at Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's 26. He's the Russian leader. I said, Derrick Henry's the exception to the rule. And I'm not gambling on the exception. I'm gambling on the odds.
Yeah.
So my odds are Dalvin Cook will not be what he is now in 2 years. So I will move him for the most.
For every Derrick Henry, there's 10 Todd Gurley's.
Right. For every Nick Chubb, there's a Trent Richardson that never made it past the first year.
Yeah.
Like, it happens all the time. And we still don't even know if Saquon Barkley is going to be a guy who can last. I mean,
you don't know. You can't know.
And I said, there are exceptions. So yeah, there's always going to be exceptions in sports. Always going to be exceptions in sports. It's like the undrafted free agent. They got Jacksonville's got a running back that's an undrafted free agent who's tearing it up. He's like the number 4 running back in the league.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, teams need to start looking at undrafted free agents. I said, hold on. That's an exception to the rule. If you can count on your hand more than 10 fingers of the undrafted free agent running backs that have played in the NFL made a career, I will bow down and kiss your foot. You know what they came up with? Arian Foster.
One.
I said, "Yep." And this is
And
number
they don't
two.
have to. And they don't have to really scout those guys because they're going to
No,
emerge anyway.
no, they're going to come up.
Mhm.
So I mean, okay, yeah, this guy's great, and yeah, he's undrafted, sure, but he's the exception to the rule.
Although I would agree to some degree that scouting is not refined.
No, it needs to change.
And
There is
and I mean,
no reason for an
if
NFL
you
team.
if you listen to if you watch the Saban Belichick documentary, they're both just shit talking the NFL Combine.
Yeah.
It means nothing.
Listen, right now, you're an idiot. If your NFL team takes a running back in the first round, you're a moron. It is a position that it will last for 4 years, and that running back will demand a ton of money. You're better off to wait to the third, fourth
And then
round,
they will
pick up a guy, get him for
Yeah.
a league minimum of 750, 850 grand for 4 year plan, and then drop his ass as soon as it's done because his injury, the ability for him to get injuries is going to increase tremendously.
What's the average? 3 years, maybe,
I think the average is 3 years. Yep.
of high productivity.
Of high productivity. And then it's time to move on. But you do things like the Atlanta Falcons and you sign Devonta Freeman until he's 30, which was when that, and of course I'm going to edit all this out. This is just us talking out. But
Yeah.
when Devonta Freeman was signed until 30 years old, I about shit my pants.
That's when I was like, Dimitrov has. Well, I was always been on the fence about Dimitrov, but
Unbelievable.
are you kidding me?
This guy shouldn't go past 28. If you want to sign him for long term, fine. 28, that's it. That way, if you got to come at 27, you can, and you don't lose money. They signed him to 30, and what they do, lost money on him because
Yeah,
he was done.
lost.
He was cooked by 26. He was cooked.
So what did they? Yeah, they bring in Todd Gurley.
Who's cooked? Of course, that was a good 1 year deal, but we see
It was a
that
good 1 year deal. What's he averaging a carry?
2.8.
2.8.
And they're like, look at his touchdowns. Well, yeah, you have no problem getting in the red zone. You have a problem. You have a problem. You can get in the red zone and you give it to a guy 3 times, he's going to get in.
Yeah,
That's not your issue. But you watch. I'll damn well guarantee you they'll draft a running back in the second round.
Well, I think they're going to be drafting a quarterback in the first round.
There's 6. I think I figured out.
I
There's
would almost
quarterbacks.
put money.
Here's your problem.
I almost put money on the.
I agree with you.
They're going to trade Matt Ryan, and he's going to New England.
I think he's going to San Francisco.
You think so? That could make more sense.
I think San Francisco is going to be where he's going to be. Of course, I got problems with Garoppolo and his contract, but they'll find a way out.
Yeah.
Listen, if the Rams can cut Todd Gurley and figure out how they're going to make it work, and Brandon Cooks, they can cut Matt Ryan and cut Jimmy Garoppolo and find out how to make it work. They'll make it work.
Yeah.
But I could totally see Matt Ryan.
But we're not going to get Trevor Lawrence. So
No.
I think the hope is that Mac Jones comes out early.
So here's how this whole thing trickles down. Right now, you got 5 quarterbacks that will go in the first round. You'll have
Trevor Lawrence,
Justin
Mac-
Fields will go number 2.
Justin Fields.
So the Jets lost Trevor Lawrence today by winning.
Yeah,
because they're
by winning.
morons. So now they'll get Justin Fields. Trevor Lawrence will go to Jacksonville. Washington's sitting there saying, we need a quarterback. They'll take that kid out of North Dakota, I think, Terrence Lance, who's very good. He's a lot like Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Then
So we have to hope.
there's the Alabama quarterback, which I didn't even think would be in a first rounder, but they're saying he's going to be a first rounder. There's the Florida.
Maybe he's probably going to win the Heisman.
The Florida quarterback's coming out in the first, they think will be a first rounder, and a BYU quarterback they think is going to be a first rounder. So you got 3, and it's going to depend on will Dallas take one, because you got to look around the league and think of who's going to take a quarterback. I think Carolina's going to be looking.
Yeah,
'Cause I don't think
there's
they're
no
happy
future.
with
No, Bridgewater's not.
a 2-year deal. New England,
Yep.
who
Atlanta.
I think was trying to tank this year to get Trevor Lawrence. And
They didn't tank. Belichick can't tank.
the Jets. Everybody else is pretty stable. San Francisco, Atlanta, Tampa Bay is going to have to do something. You probably have about 4 teams, and some people are saying Dallas might get into it because of
Do
Dak.
you think Tampa Bay is going to re-up with Brady?
Now, if they win the Super Bowl,
I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl, though.
if they do, he's gone. I think he's
Yeah.
gone anyway.
This is it.
He just wanted to prove that he could do it without Belichick. I mean, I really believe that him and Gronkle jump in a convertible and be gone if they win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They won't get him back. But you got New Orleans, who's going to probably work with Tyson Hill.
I don't think he's their future, though.
He's going to change their offense. All crooked bullshit. Miami's pretty happy. Jacksonville's going to make. Did you see Gardner Minshew's in Jacksonville? They're going to cut him loose. I think he's a fine quarterback if he goes somewhere and gets in a real system where people are going to work with him. Denver could be looking for a quarterback. So Atlanta's going to have to get in there. And they're going to have, I don't remember what pick they have, but I guarantee you, Wick, I already know what Atlanta's going to do in the first round. They're going to take a pass rusher.
Oh, you think?
Whether they ever fucking do in the first round, pass rusher is so important. I'm telling you, you got pass rushers in the second, third round. Why don't you fucking trade for one? Which they did. I don't think Dante Fowler was a bad trade for them, but you got to fucking he'll go out to somebody who has proven they can get the job done and just pay him. Because all this fucking drafting shit's not working.
I mean, that's how you build. Look at how many great draft picks has New England had. Come on.
Very fucking few.
Very few. You build with veterans.
Yeah, absolutely. They are the epitome of exactly how you need to run your NFL franchise. Yeah. Go out and seek the talent that nobody sees and go and grab it.
Yeah, or that they perceive as washed up.
Yeah, go out and grab
That's why I think Matt Ryan's going to New England.
He could. I just see him in San Francisco. But I know
either way. I don't think he's going to be in Atlanta next year.
Let me tell you something, dude. This NFL free agency this year is going to be one of the
crazy
fucking fun to watch. Because, if you think about just talent that's going to be coming out.
It's going to be a very rich year in talent.
You have Leonard Fournette will hit the market. Todd Gurley will hit the market. You're going to have Phillip Lindsay over in Denver hitting the market. Almost all of your San Francisco running backs are hitting the market because they don't give a shit. You're going to have Chris Carson out of Seattle is going to hit the market. James Conner out of Pittsburgh is going to hit the market. I mean, there's going to be some Le'Veon Bell is going to hit the market. They're going to have some fucking and Allen Robinson in Chicago. They still haven't extended him. Detroit hasn't extended Galladay, their wide receiver. It's going to get nuts, dude. It's going to get fucking nuts. And one of the teams that people aren't talking about that I think is going to make some fucking moves is Washington.
Yeah, they're going to do.
Because what's his face over there is not gonna settle for another losing season. Ron Rivera, he's not gonna do it. So they're either gonna go looking in free agency or they're gonna grab somebody in that draft, and they're gonna grab a running back and another wide receiver in that in free agency. They're gonna try to load up.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fireworks.
Oh my God, this free agency is gonna be funner than the draft. That's what I keep telling people. Free agency is gonna be nuts.
Julio Jones may hit it.
I would cut. Julio Jones has to go. He's another one where they signed him forever. And it's like, listen, dude, it's just, there's two things that are true. Running backs hit a wall at 28 and wide receivers hit a wall at 30. I get Larry Fitzgerald still playing. He, again, is the exception. Not every wide receiver is Larry Fitzgerald. Okay. And he barely gets used now.
Yeah.
Let these fucking guys go. Let them go. You know, let them go. You're okay with letting Austin Hooper go. Let these other guys go. Get that fucking money back in order.
They let Austin Hooper go and they haven't missed a beat at tight end.
No, they go and they find some scrub out of Baltimore, Hunter Hurst.
Because there's somebody waiting in the NFL for an opportunity.
Yeah,
there's somebody waiting.
Hayden Hurst is a great tight end.
Yeah,
you know, you've got Calvin Ridley. You can build around, right? There's going to be a ton
and that's how the Falcons did it
in
their best years. I mean, they went and snatched up Turner.
Yeah, Michael Turner. That's exactly right. Yep. Let the guys that have proven themselves come out. Let them think that they're going to get big offers. They're not, because nobody's playing running backs. Nobody is paying a running back. Ever since Todd Gurley, the NFL has figured out we're not paying running backs. because we pay them
It's too much of a
$50 a
liability.
year, and they twist a knee and they're out for the season. Not when we can draft them we can rookie draft them, and we can play them for 4 years for $850,000 a year,
Or do it by
Fuck.
committee.
Yeah, or do a committee. That's where they're going to.
Yeah.
But James White's going to be done in New England. He would do great in Atlanta. They just put him out. He's 28 years old, but still he's a pass catching back. Throw him out of the backfield. There's guys that are going to be sitting there. Chris Carson, James Conner would be great in Atlanta. They're talking about Tampa Bay trying to draft a fucking running back. I'm like, it's just the dumbest thing in the world. Like, I don't know. Then they went out and got Antonio Brown. I think that was all Tom Brady, though.
With Antonio Brown, yeah. And it's not really worked out.
No. I guarantee you Tampa Bay listened to Tom Brady tell them how he needed to have Antonio Brown. When he has freaking Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, two of the best receivers in the NFL, you really need to go fucking play Antonio Brown and deal with his cancer in the locker room.
Yeah.
That had to have been Tom Brady. That was 100% Tom Brady. And if they don't win this year, it's gonna fall on the GM who listened to Tom Brady tell him what to do.
Yeah. Because they brought the Golden Boy into town, and he's running the show. He's the GM.
I just gave myself 45 minutes of editing to do for no reason. All right. Let's do the goodbye, and then I'll just cut all this shit out. All right. Everybody, we appreciate you listening. Thanks
for listening, y'all.
You next Sunday. Listen, Podbean, iTunes, Amazon Music, Spotify are going to be on Pandora very soon. We're on Google. Look us up. Go to Podbean, download it, listen to us every week. We appreciate everybody's support, man. We are really growing. We appreciate that. And tell your friends, tell your enemies that we're out here. And if you hate us, tell your enemies. At least we'll get some downloads from that. And if you love us, tell your friends. We'll get some downloads from that.
Yeah.
Really appreciate everybody.
Spread the word, please.
We'll be back with a new topic and just rambling on next week. It'll be a lot of fun. Wick, thanks so much for coming on tonight with me and doing
Always
this every
fun.
week.
Always fun.
And we'll see everybody next week. Thanks so much, guys. It's the Dukes